be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.
George?
I have no idea what's going on.
Uh-oh.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
I think George is having technical difficulties, my friend.
I am having
George.
technical... I don't know, dude. Let me leave and come back.
Alrighty
You know,
then.
Joe, as a great relief pitcher as I am, I'm the Raleigh Fingers of this show, and George, of course, is the Tom Seaver. George is warming up in the bullpen, and apparently he has to change his cup because it's not functioning properly. So I'll step in as the legendary Seaver gets his pitching acumen ready for his start.
What the fuck is happening right now?
Are we gonna get like the whole comment out there? He goes. Are we gonna get the whole commentary on what's going on right now with George's computer?
Well, hello everybody to the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade. I am George C. Romero. Oh no, I'm not George C. Romero. I am David Lee Madison, the clown who comes on after the legendary George C. Romero. I'm stepping in just for a moment because George seems to be having some technical difficulties. Mr. Ridgely, how the hell are you?
I am well. How the hell are you? Somebody wants you to call. Who's JHP LLC?
I don't know. I will call you, sure. Joe, it's funny because tonight George has a great show lined up. A lot of people are going to be involved, and Mr. Grieco will be here, and all of the things that George does wonderfully. And tonight, on the end of the night, we're going to have Rusty Gilligan, who, of course, worked on the Avengers and Captain America, the First Avenger, and Spider-Man 2. And keep your fingers crossed because Kelly AuCoin, who plays Dollar Bill on the hit show Billions, is supposed to stop by tonight. From what I'm understanding, he's having some technical difficulties too. So hopefully everything will go on without a hitch, my friend. And you've just gone into total darkness, so it's crazy. You know what it is, Joe? It is October 2nd. It is the Halloween season.
Wasn't there a full moon last night?
It was a full moon. There are gremlins afoot. Everything is going horribly wrong. Oh, I think I even just kind of glitched there for a second. So, but I will not blame Joe Ridgely because oddly enough, Joe is not in charge of October.
Okay, I'm getting a message from George. Bear with me one moment.
So how you doing, Sean? How you doing, Stephanie? How you doing, Dave? How you doing, AJ? How you doing, Libby? I'm sure you're out there. Sean, my brother, I saw the great work you've done on those laser wood printings. The one of me and my infant daughter actually brought a tear to my eye. It's going to be something that I cherish forever, especially now that she's going to be going off to college. And I can't wait to actually have that in my possession. And I want to thank you, Sean, because it is absolutely wonderful.
That is pretty cool. It's amazing what you can do with those lasers.
Yes. So have the aliens actually abducted Mr. Romero?
To be determined.
You know, this is very reminiscent of the great, let me take these off because I never actually do my show with my glasses on because I'm way too vain and I don't really care if I see anything while I'm doing my train wreck. But they kind of caught me off guard because, as many of you know, before the show, me, George, and Joe, and usually the celebrity guests that we have on that given night, do our AV checks, and we all talk about what the show is going to be like for that evening. And I have my glasses on for that. And I was literally just stepping away from my computer to get a beverage and to come back and watch George's show when I saw that George was having some technical difficulties. And I didn't want to leave poor Joe because, you know, he looks like his hat's on a little too tight to carry the load on his shoulders. But you know what's funny, everybody?
Joe had a show for a year and a half, 2 years.
Can I finish the damn sentence? Everybody should know this. I actually met Joe because I was on his show when he was the talk show host, the host of the whole program. And to be brutally honest with you, I think Joe carries both my show and George's show. So I'm just busting
let you finish.
because Joe is actually preoccupied with trying to get George back on instead of trying to entertain everybody, and that's totally understandable. And I use the word entertain lightly because I'm on the air. Come on, let's be real.
Somebody mentioned duck jokes. By the way, that's Jack Hunter.
Oh, Jack. Okay, did you know that?
I did not.
Okay. Well, how am I supposed to know that, Jack? Of course I'll call you, my friend. I hope you're well. I haven't seen you in a while, and I hope everything is going well. I love you guys too. Just stay back, stay behind the stanchion lines. And no, I'm just kidding. And it's crazy, Joe.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on with the world today? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not going to talk about anything politics. I'm just talking about the reality of it. It was like our country was must-see TV all day.
Is that why I didn't watch any of it?
Oh, really? You're like, what? What are you talking about? What happened?
Well,
yeah.
I heard the news last night, and then it was just like, okay, staying away.
Yeah, no, I understand. And everybody here at the Indie Brigade wish the president and the first lady nothing but the best of health. And we're praying for a speedy recovery. I may not agree with his politics, but I never wish ill will on anybody. So, get well soon. And the whole country's behind you. What made my brain hurt? Okay. I'm so glad I'm off Facebook. Oh, you're off Facebook, Jack. Okay. That's probably why why we had no connection. It's funny. I always have stuff here that I do, silly stuff that I do for my show. But I wasn't prepared to start so early. But right here, oddly enough, are some CDs.
Uh-oh.
So let's talk about music because, what's the greatest thing to keep your mind at ease in a crazy world or to entertain you in a time of craziness? Is music. Music calms the savage beast. Is that not correct, Joe?
That is true. Also,
Yes.
Lance is saying many of the hub sites.
What does that mean? Oh, like they're down or something?
No, many of like the Pornhub sites also in that time that you're referring to. That went, okay, you just never mind.
Joe, the first thing when you get older, like I have, the first thing that goes is your mind.
Okay.
And so it's clearly, and you know what's sad? I mean, I'm 50 years old and I got a pimple. How the hell did that happen?
Stress pimple.
It's not
After finding out what
I have
happened
no
last
stress. I sit around in like a schmuck all day. Yesterday I was going out and I was looking for locations for my new film, Full Moon Fever, which I'm super excited about, which I was going to talk about on my show. But we found some really, really super locations, and it's going to be a cool flick. I can't wait for everybody to check it out. But
before you go with your CDs, is there any update on that other project that you were working on?
On Pumpkinhead?
Yes.
Pumpkinhead, as far as I know, they finalized the last script that I wrote. The film is actually in perpetual hold because of the COVID situation. I think they're trying to figure out if they want to shoot it in North Carolina or if they want to shoot it in Bulgaria. But everything is looking extremely positive on that front. And the minute that it's a go, you guys will be the first to know. Another thing that's wonderful is that Wits End, of course, is still out. It's available on Amazon and other fine streaming services. It comes out in November on DVD and Blu-ray, and it's still getting, people seem to really dig that movie. So if you get a chance to check out Wits End, I think you'll enjoy it. You know what sucks about my CD collection on this, Will Joe? It's alphabetical. So I take a big giant handful of CDs, and it's all like the same dude or same woman.
I figured you were going to say it's all classic rock. So.
You know, it's funny. It mostly is.
Well, okay. I mean, everything on CD now is pretty much considered classic. No?
Speaking of classic rock, I think this record came out in 1991, and it was right as the grunge scene was coming on, and David Lee Roth had he had a solo record called A Little Ain't Enough in like 1989, and it was actually the decline of his musical career. And in 1991, he came out with a record called Your Filthy Little Mouth, a David Lee Roth record, and on it had the hit song She's My Machine. So it's a really, really cool record if you guys get a chance. And there was a duet he did with Travis Tritt on here called Cheating Heart Cafe, which was also a wonderful, wonderful song. If you like classic rock singers and country guys doing duets together. Then in about, I would say 10 years later, maybe 12 years later, he released his CD called Diamond Dave. And this was mostly cover songs. And these are songs that he did before he came back with Van Halen, and before he. This is the stuff he did with what he was calling at that time the DLR band. Not Ed Sheeran, Billy Sheehan was the guitar player. And the reason why I'm actually bringing David Lee Roth up, Joe, is that Mr. Roth, in all probability, will be a guest on the End of the Night sometime soon.
So do you want me to tell the story about how I screwed the pooch that one night when he was over your house and you were trying to message me and I ended the stream too early and he could have been on that night?
Yes. I think that was no, that wasn't the Halloween party. The Halloween party, I think me and Brian tried to jump in on the night of the Halloween party. And we had a bad. Yes, that was Dave and I think so. I don't remember who else was with us that night. And I was like, Joe, Dave and I want to come on, Joe. And you were like, did you not read the message or did it stop early?
I don't I don't recall, to be honest with you, exactly what happened. I either didn't get the message or I didn't read the message properly. And we were ready to end.
You know, before COVID, you know, if people may not know this, but my very first show was the week that the big COVID outbreak broke out. When I had no, who the hell was my first guest? I'm having a brain fart. You know, we've had over like 35 guests on that show already.
It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, it was the guy from, getting old, Daniel Roebuck. The first week we had Daniel Roebuck on, of course, and where was I going with this? Daniel Roebuck was on the first week. And when I was talking with Joe and George originally about coming on this network and doing a show on the End of the Night on this network, my original thought was to have like my friends who were over my house all the time sit right next to me and do the show with me, like Brian O'Halloran, David Lee Roth, Scott Schiaffo, Stephen Jeffries, and all these guys who I hang out with.
You forgot one.
What?
You forgot one.
Who's that?
The important one. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, he hasn't actually. I haven't seen him since like last November, so it's a little bit longer with him. But like all the guys who actually hang out with me, it would have been fun and awesome to do the end of the night with them sitting right here next to me. But sadly, my show started the week that the COVID crisis started. And nobody comes over anymore. I mean, my wife and daughter don't even like seeing me anymore. So it's a she, David. What am I missing now?
The COVID is a she.
Oh, she's okay. The COVID is she. COVID came and messed up all my plans to have just like I really wanted my show to be like a party network, and you never knew what kind of crazy shenanigans or crazy crap was going to happen. And COVID screwed that up. So no, I'm very blessed to have a lot of friends who were kind enough to come on and do the show week after week. But a lot of my plans or to have live interactions with them. Like, I'm sure you guys would have loved to have seen Brian and Scott in the same room with me throwing baloney at me, which is probably what they would have done. But Brian and Scott, luckily, who are my friends of mine, can still come on the show. They're just, Scott's in prison, and Brian is hiding in his basement with Joe Biden. Did you say David Lee Roth is in Van Halen? David Lee. Yeah, it's the only David Lee Roth I seem to know of, unless you know of another David Lee Roth. Yeah. We need a BlameJoe emote ASAP. Oh.
I need a Blame Mac emote ASAP. It's a Mac computer that George is using.
I told George that when he bought that extra value meal at Wendy's and it came with the free computer, that he should have upgraded one meal size larger. Yes. so that one that works. You know what sucks? I'm sure George is at home banging his head against the wall. I know a couple weeks ago I was having trouble with my internet up here, and it's extremely frustrating when you're scheduled to have a show and you want to say hello to everybody, and things aren't working when you need them to. But I'm sure George will be coming on soon. I'm actually going to look in my email real quickly to see if my guest, Mr. AuCoin, is up and running yet for our episode at the end of the night, and he is not yet. So it's one of those nights here on the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade. And the great thing about it is that not many people know this, but my dear friend Joe Ridgely here has an unbelievably talented singing voice. And he right now is going to do his live version of New York, New York in the style of Frank Sinatra. Joe, the stage is all yours.
Dun, 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 dun.
Start spreading the news. Come on, Joe. You're gonna
I've got my Frank book right here, actually. That's leaning up against my monitor. But yes, I'm actually quite the crooner fan. I grew up with that stuff, and
I think I've mentioned this on our show before, Joe. Is the very, very first concert I ever seen in my life was Bing Crosby. My mom and brother Bob, who is 8 years older than me, had brought me up listening to like Bing Crosby, Nat King Cole, and Perry Como, and all the wonderful crooners of that generation. Brought me up to listen to those. And I was blessed in 1977. It was just very, very shortly before he died. We got to see him, and I remember very, very vividly. He was singing, and oddly enough, and he did the first two numbers with his wife, and in the third number he started doing solo, and he was starting to move around the stage. And I don't know, in their ultimate wisdom, they had an American treasure, an American icon, one of the most important people who ever lived, singing on a stage in his late 70s. On a stage that was probably 12 feet wide with an orchestra pit behind it. So Bing was singing and dancing and still an amazing entertainer, and I was totally enthralled with him. In the middle of the third song, he takes a step back. You see him go back. He falls into the orchestra pit, this place goes pitch black. 30 seconds later, they put all the lights on, and they told that, Mr. Crosby had an accident. The show was over. Please leave in an orderly fashion. And sadly, I don't think it contributed to his death, because he died, I think, 2 months later. He died and had a heart attack while on a golf course in Spain. And I was like, wow, I love this guy. And I go to see my first concert. And of course, the Dave Madison karma killed him. So,
and they say golf is supposed to be relaxing.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, well, we got DJ down here. DJ, you available to come up? Give me a thumbs up or something. Okay. I don't want to blindside you like I do like the rest of the people. I actually like you.
What's up?
That's good to know. Hey, David. How are you
doing? How are you, brother?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. And as always, whenever I talk to you, Terry, I am so jealous of your Christmas Story lamp you got back there. I mean, that is the leg lamp right there, right?
That is the leg lamp. It's kind of a mini leg lamp. So, but hey, it works. It fits.
You don't have the leg part turned on.
I know. Well, I can make a bad joke out of that. I can turn it on if you really want me to.
No,
We'll make your night. We can turn on the.
I'm only allowed to bring ours out at Christmas time.
I was so devastated to learn that this was the 4th year in a row that we were going to spend Christmas Eve in the actual Christmas Story house in Cleveland. But because of COVID this year, we're not going to get to stay in the Christmas Story house. So the Madison family tradition of waking up on Christmas morning in Ralphie's living room, just not happening this year.
Oh man, that's horrible. That would be such a cool thing.
No. If you got anybody out there, if you are a fan of A Christmas Story, I implore you to go to Cleveland, Ohio. It's literally right about 5 minutes outside on the outskirts of Cleveland, Ohio. And the original house that they shot A Christmas Story is there. It's perfectly preserved. And you can actually stay in it. They rent out. There's 2 floors and then there's like an attic. And the attic is made up to be like an apartment. And when the tour closes at 8:00, then from 8:00 till 7:00 the next morning, you have run of the entire Christmas Story house. It's kind of like yours.
That's really cool.
Yep. And so last Christmas Eve, I was in Ralphie's room with my wife and daughter, watching A Christmas Story nationally on TV, drinking hot cocoa and eating freshly baked chocolate chip cookies, and it's just absolutely like I was geeking out because I was like, I'm the biggest A Christmas Story fan.
Yeah,
I'm a big It's a Wonderful Life fan. I'm a crazy Christmas and Halloween movie kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And to be spending Christmas Eve in the A Christmas Story house is totally worth it if you guys ever get a chance to do that.
That would be really cool. I didn't realize they did that at that house. Mm-hmm. I'll have to put that on the list. That's right next to the Lizzie Borden house.
It's funny. That's a weird connection you got there. And you also have right next door from the Christmas Story house, they let you stay in the Bumpus house where the Bumpus hounds lived in the Christmas Story movie. And it's far less expensive to stay in the Bumpus house, mm-hmm. but it's also something really cool to do.
Oh yeah.
Terry, I'm curious.
Cool. Yes.
You're a Mac guy. You're pretty much expert in all Mac. What does this mean?
That means if it's hung up there, the system is booting and it's looking for a startup disk. What it's doing at this point is it's loading from the firmware from the hard drive into the system into the memory. It's like making several hops. And if it gets stuck there, that means there's a broken link in the chain somewhere there. It could be a bad hard drive. It could be a piece of corrupt software. That's just some of the kind of typical first things off the top of the head.
All right, because the Fearless Leader just sent me that.
Yeah, I was kind of hearing
is that like that blue screen of death for PC computers?
That's kind of, that's where the BSOD for a Mac. Now it can push past that, but if it's getting hung up on something, it's trying to load up the boot up software to find the operating system. So if it can't find it, it's just going to hit that one point and just hover. So
hey, yeah, George, not for nothing, you got a phone.
We'll see how this plays out. If not, I'll get with him here in a bit. But yeah, in case you all didn't know, I've been an Apple consultant for about 20 years. So, and trainer and instructor. Yeah. So been around the horn a couple times with Apple stuff.
Yeah. Look at the ancient one behind him over his right shoulder.
I've got like a museum of these old classic kind of iconic Macs. I call it the museum, but that still work just like day one. And of course they won't run anything new or modern, but it's just kind of cool to boot them up and use them. I have that one slated. I keep saying I'm going to use it for like an iTunes media server or something like that. But yeah, 18, 19-year-old machine still fires right up. But
sweet. Hey, Joe, please forgive me. Since you guys announced what George's show was going to be about yesterday, I have literally been out on scouting locations. Then this morning, I helped my daughter go with looking for a college. What were you guys going to do tonight?
Well, we were going to have people on live on air with George and Grieco and see if they had any questions pertaining to their projects or discuss projects and things like that. Well,
I will gladly sit in for George as long as you would like me to. If Mr. Grieco is available and on, you could put him on.
He is not.
And but if you want to have like a Q&A, I've actually made a couple of movies, oddly enough. And I'm going to make a couple of more. And I may not be as rich a resource as George and Richard are, but if you had anybody lined up who wanted to come on and ask any questions, I'd be more than happy.
We hadn't even put the offer out yet. So, no, not as of yet. I'm still trying to figure out because Grieco usually comes on around 9:30. I haven't heard anything yet, and that screen's got me concerned. Very, very, very.
Yeah, when you first showed me that, I kind of screamed a little bit inside. But it's not. There's always hope. I've been down this road a million times. There's always hope.
Well, Joe, you could go buy a PC.
Well, Joe, if by any chance George can't join us tonight, I will gladly sit in till 10 o'clock, and then we'll come back at 11 o'clock with the end of the night and start a whole new train wreck at 11 o'clock for people to do.
Well, I got a question. Who watched the Drone Cav yesterday?
I have not, but I watch it almost every week. The last 24 hours have been incredibly, incredibly busy for me. And I never say that. I always say I'm sitting around with my thumb up my ass. But I actually had a crazy 24 hours. But I will, the minute this show is over, check it out. Because as you know, I'm a big fan.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know you are. The only reason not the only reason, but a reason. I just kind of thought it was a cool episode. It in case anybody hasn't seen it and you're interested, it's kind of a short episode. It doesn't go really long, but I showed some clips from a film I'm working on here in Central Florida with a filmmaker, a guy named Dale Metz. I've worked with Dale on a few projects, some music videos, and we've got some other things I'm going to be working with him on down the road. And he's doing a short film now called Betrayed. And it's coming in to be, it was challenging in a few ways. The one big scene that I worked on revolved around a boat chase. And we shot it over a river. There's a 20-foot center console boat, whipping through the river. And the scene is it's being chased by a Black Hawk helicopter firing at it. It's kind of an action scene. But it involved some compound moves. But what made it really tricky was we only had, of course, half a day to go out and get the shot. Of course, it has to be like mega gusty winds that day. So it really threw me a curveball, keeping the drone stable in the air and getting the shot, because I had to track and follow this boat. And we got it in like, I don't know, half dozen takes. And then on the episode, I threw a couple clips in. Dale has laid in the effects of the after effects of the helicopter. Of course, there's more work to do with reflections and all, but it just really shocked me how well it's coming out. It's going to look really cool in a final product. But I get into a little bit about what went into getting the scene. Here I am standing in mud up to my ankles on a riverbank and fighting the wind, and having to fly this drone manually like crazy to keep it stable and keep it from blowing into these trees or doing anything crazy, but still get this nice, smooth, clean shot. So it's kind of a fun episode if you want to see what really goes into getting a shot like that, and just listen to me ramble some in the background.
What absolutely amazed me was how they digitally put that helicopter in there. That was like, holy crap.
And there's a lot more work he has to do on the helicopter to make it even more realistic, but it looked fantastic. Now I had to account for that when I kind of blocked out the shot. I had to, and again, I didn't have a lot of leeway to mess around. I was fighting the wind. I was having to watch battery economy and all these things you just do when you're flying a drone. And then I had to account and sort of guess where that helicopter was going to be in the scene. So I had to leave that much space open at the top of the shot, still get the boat, still not cut the boat out at the bottom of the shot, and then do a yaw pan to catch the boat coming, passing, and going. So there were like 3 elements to the shot. And there were just 50 things going on at one time. But once the helicopter was put in the scene, and I saw it the first time, it's like, man, that worked. I'm pleasantly surprised how well that worked out. So
awesome.
I can't wait to see it. What's the name of the film again?
It's Betrayed. It's the name. It's the science fiction / thriller type of thing. It's going to be really cool. I don't want to give the spoilers away, but when it's done and available to be seen, Dale is going to come on for a special episode of the Drone Cab. We're going to kind of go through a scene by scene and sort of do a little premiere of it. So really, really cool guy. And he is sort of, and I say this in the episode, he's kind of the definition of the indie filmmaker out there. I mean, he works hard. He works hard at learning all the facets of the craft, from writing and producing and doing the effects. And he keeps a fantastic attitude. I mean, he's a super guy to work with. So I'd love to get him on the show sometime and share some of his experience and wisdom.
Awesome. I need you to take this one, Terry, because that sounds like things that you run into.
No problem. Drone flights and power lines. Yeah, Daniela, are you, I don't know if you're doing anything like power line inspections or whatever. That's a pretty popular, pretty common use for drones in that industry. Power lines generate a lot of electromagnetic interference that will affect your guidance. It will draw drones toward power lines. It's kind of a weird phenomenon, and it will really, really throw off your guidance and interrupt the communication between the aircraft and your controller. So there's not really a good fix for it. There's not. The devices are pretty well shielded. They do make some really, really expensive industrial type drones for that, but they're not completely impervious to it. I was on a shoot earlier this year on a backlot here in Orlando at Full Sail University, and the shot involved making like this arc where I had the camera locked on the actors standing on some stairs. But the problem was, on the far side of the shot, there was a massive line of power cables. And once I would get about 60% through that arc, my video feed started going crazy. The drone, the guidance, it was getting a little shaky and juddery. The director saying, I want this shot, I want the shot. You just can't do it. I mean, you tell them to shut the power off for a minute. But other than that, power lines can really cause you some headaches.
Let me ask you something. In this film, is there any notable named talent attached to it?
No big names. It's all local.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead actress, her name is Rachel. I'll mess up pronouncing her last name. It's Comeau, and she is really, really nailing this part. It's kind of got, I won't compare real closely, but it's kind of that almost Sarah Connor-ish type of role, kind of the tough, plowing through it type character, fighting a technological kind of sort of thing.
Sweet.
So,
We got people asking for the name again, please.
Betrayed. It just the word betrayed.
And do you know when that's coming out? Or
I really don't. I know actually they're finishing the shoot this weekend, so it'll probably be wrapped here fairly soon.
Sweet.
So yeah,
so Danielle was saying that they look for hairline cracks that lead to flashover.
Oh yeah. So I'd love to talk to you sometime and find out more about what you're doing, what
I
drones.
don't know if you saw the other one, insulator inspections on power lines.
Yeah, that's power line inspections. Windmill inspections are really popular use for drones. All that kind of thing that needs some altitude. Railroad, and Lance probably can chime in on that. Railroad inspections are a really big drone industry. And in fact, today I was going over some stuff that came in about how we're going to be seeing some autonomy that is just mind blowing. Nest or Ring, I can't remember if it's Ring or Nest. I'm old, I get confused. That do the security stuff. They're releasing a small autonomous security drone for your house that will fly inside the house.
I think that's already out.
Yeah. It's now it's getting revved up. I guess they're getting it on the market and getting it rolling.
That thing is amazing. I mean, it literally flies from room to room as the security. It's a little tiny sucker.
It's crazy. One security company a couple years ago released one that you keep outside your house, and it lives in a box. Basically, it's solar powered, got solar panels on top, so it's always charged. It has inductive charging. So if you are halfway around the world and you want to fly around your house and take a look, you jump on your phone, pop the app open, boom, the lid of the box raises up and it flies out, and you can fly around your house, do whatever, and then hit return to home. It goes back to the box, lands, the lid shuts, boom.
Dino said the robots are coming. Yeah, this is like Skynet shit going on.
You know what? I am so happy to hear that you say drones are used to inspect windmills, because as we all know, windmill cancer is a terrible disease that a lot of people are afflicted with in 2020. And to be able to have windmills now, to have drones be able to go up and inspect the windmills instead of people, it's just a wonderful service being provided to me.
I haven't heard of a drone cancer related to windmill inspection, but
luckily keep our
that.
fingers crossed that drones don't get cancer from windmills now.
Yeah, they're getting close. So.
Livy wants one. I actually saw pictures of Matt and Livy out with the drone the other day. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's it's just like anything else. It just is growing so fast. The technology, if you watch my shows and all, I've recently sort of converted over to the Mavic Air 2, which it's just mind blowing what this thing can do from a cinematic aspect. The range is insane on it, but you really don't fly out of line of sight anyway. So range isn't that important, but that does contribute to a nice strong signal. So you don't lose your video feed. You're better off in congested areas like cities or wherever you have a lot of Wi-Fi or that kind of stuff buzzing around the air. And going into next year, I'm kind of getting a glimpse here and there of some stuff we're going to see. And I think we'll be seeing more upcoming autonomous features added. So to make them easier and better to fly. But I've kind of run into a lot of questions here lately, and about what drones to buy, what to get, what not to get, especially for new operators and things like that. And so if anybody ever has a question or anything about getting started with a good model, get in touch with me, because there's a lot of junk out there and a lot of knockoffs and a lot of stuff that you'll end up not having such a good experience and basically pouring some money down the drain. And it's like anything else with technology. I won't say you get what you pay for, because a lot of times you don't get what you pay for. So you just get a bag of heartache and a crashed toy.
All right, let me answer Sean real fast. Sean, I don't think it's a matter of him just hopping on his phone. I think it's a matter of his heart friggin' dropping to his stomach because his equipment's not working right now. So, yeah, he could hop on his phone, but I think there's more pressing matters at hand. There's a lot riding on that computer.
Just think of all the porn that he will lose if, God forbid, that computer goes down.
Right? All the zombie porn.
Well, there's always data recovery, so there's always hope. I'm always the chipper guy.
Yeah.
Hey, and
no, we're not doing anything on the debate. Forget about it.
Oh, that's
showing
cool.
off my pineapple.
Oh, let's see.
Has it got little oh, nice.
Skulls and the flashy lights.
And he sent one to Lance.
I did. I sent one to Lance just because I knew he would be so crushed with the Taco Bell boot.
Joe, did you think that 40 minutes into the show tonight we would be resorting to Terry showing the world his pineapple?
Especially a light up pineapple.
His light up pineapple.
I was saving that for another episode with the mankini. I just started working out again. So once I get that,
it's going to be the mankini, the light up pineapple, and the lights off.
Don't get me wrong, Lance. That is quite an impressive pineapple you have there.
Did you just call him Lance? Wow.
I called Terry. I apologize. You know what's so funny? As I'm talking to you guys, I looked over and I saw Lance was talking over here. So, yeah, as Terry said earlier, it's always about losing what's left of our collective minds when we hit a certain age.
Wow, this is where we're going with this. Better than Sean showing his wood. All right. I've got my wood behind me, except it doesn't light up very well. I got to figure something out about that. But Sean, your stuff is actually directly behind me that way. So I just got to figure out better lighting for it.
You still got the fancy lighting, though. I've got to get that. Every time I see it, I get all...
I do see one question. Squared Circle Squares is asking me what's happening this month with Mr. Hush's 10-year anniversary. This October, Mr. Hush is going to be released in somewhat of a director's cut. When I handed the film over to the studio, Kino Lorber, the film was shot to be very dark and moody. And Kino Lorber, in its infinite wisdom, other than making the cover a direct ripoff of Trick or Treat, also thought it would be fine to manipulate my film and make it lighter. And it always annoyed the shit out of me. So now that they no longer own the film and I do, it's being re-released this October with for the way in its original aspect ratio 2.351 with the color palette that I originally shot the film in. And it's going to be available all over the place, along with Mr. Hush Legacy. So if you're a Mr. Hush fan, look for it a week or two before Halloween, and it's going to be like a whole new experience. And then we're going to do, there's a Mr. Hush graphic novel and possibly a Mr. Hush sequel. So all this is happening rather quickly.
No, wait a minute. There's a prequel. Is that available on the disc, or is that only available digitally?
Mr. Hush Legacy, the prequel, is part of this repackaging that's going out in October. So you'll be able to see both Mr. Hush and Mr. Hush Legacy in one shot. And Mr. Hush Legacy is just a short film. It's only 15 minutes long, but it tells the story of Mr. Hush and Stephen Jeffries' relative Stark in the Devil's Den in the Battle of Gettysburg. So it's a cool little ad flick, especially in the Halloween season, if you're a Mr. Hush fan, to see Mr. Hush Legacy. So check it out. Thank you for asking, by the way. And the other film that I'm going to start is a film called Full Moon Fever. And it's I really want to keep the lid on this because it's the biggest film I've done to date. And I will be dropping promos and hints as we go along. But it's
Michael J. Fox's son becomes a werewolf and plays baseball.
Exactly. Yes. Works for me. I'm waiting till
I
I
thought it was a
can
Tom
both
Petty
physical
thing.
copy of Mr. Hirsch signed in.
Full Moon
I will be
Fever,
more than happy,
yeah.
Sean, to send you copies of Mr. Hirsch and Wits End on me because of you're a part of the Brigade family, and just send me your address and I'll send them out to you. So that's what's going on, and of course, Wits End is out there for people to check out. I have Quarantine Stories in Humanity, which seems more poignant now than ever. That film is in the can. Some very, very big stars are involved with that, and some very, very loyal and wonderful people who are in the Indie Brigade are involved with that, and that will become
Terry.
yes.
Me?
Well, he knows he's involved with it.
I am?
He worked, yeah.
Hey,
On
I'm
the
not involved. No. I am thrilled to have been able to contribute. So
Yeah, no, that was a wonderful what you being involved with Quarantine, and that is going to come out right after Christmas.
looking
And
forward
actually, absolutely, Brandon, I would love to work with you. I'm just waiting. We're going to start shooting it probably in about mid-October. So I will keep you abreast on everything that's going on with that. It should be a lot of fun. That was my entourage journey. Where did Joe go? You know,
I was trying not to be rude and looking and typing and everything. I figured I'd let you guys.
You know what the truth of the matter is, Joe? This is what in baseball they call mop-up duty. Usually, a relief pitcher comes in for an inning or two, but sometimes a baseball team loses 21-0 in like the second inning, and they throw their shortstop into pitch. And that's kind of what this is. Joe, I'm going to ask you on the air. Do you want me to wrap this up at 10 o'clock so that we could move on and do the end of the night at the top of the hour, or do you want to keep rolling with?
Yeah, why don't we do that if we could? You think your guest would be available at 10 o'clock?
Oh, no. I said we'll wrap up.
Go and wait until 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I like my idea better, but okay, hold on a second. I'm getting another message. Oh, shit. Okay.
What's the matter?
I don't know yet.
Okay. Is Mr. Grieco available by any chance?
I don't think he's going to be flying on. I think him and George are actually talking about his issue right now.
Oh, okay. Wow, I never pictured Grieco as like a computer aficionado.
You'd be surprised what that dude knows.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. He's like brilliant. It didn't seem like that would be in his wheelhouse. Like I picture him like more like a hot rod fixer or motorcycle guy than a computer guy.
probably all the above.
You guys got to give me 1 minute.
1 minute. Well, that was a quick minute.
Yeah. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you like CDs like this, which are literally just horror sound effects for like 2 hours at the time?
Well, I can't say I do like any marathon, listening sessions, but I do like them. I just like everything. I like anything kind of unusual like that, but anything Halloweeny like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what I like about them is that I live on top of a mountain in northeast Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And I put 2 giant speakers on my house for Halloween Day. Yeah. And I blast that shit to like where the chipmunks leave town and it's so loud. Oh. Is that your beautiful wife? How the hell did you score such a beautiful wife, Terry? I mean,
I ask myself all the time. It's just shocking. And I'll say this, and she'll chime in on this. If you only knew what she puts up with.
I can imagine, actually, because I know what my wife puts up with.
It's like you expect a truck to pull up in front of the house and start unloading like the trophy of the day or whatever.
Well, you're a very lucky man, and I am sure she's a very lucky woman.
Well, yeah, it goes both ways, I guess. No, I am. She's a great girl, and we get along great. And what more can I say? She, again, I go back to that. She puts up with the craziness and the mania. So,
if anybody wants to come on tonight and ask myself or Terry or Terry and myself or Joe or question, please, what's the matter? What does that mean? That means don't say that?
Sure. I guess. I'm not sure.
If don't even dare ask to come on tonight because it's just not happening. We don't even like you people. I'm kidding, as everybody knows.
No, I don't want you saying that. If it almost looks like we're going to be wrapping it up shortly.
Oh yeah.
So.
Okay. No, Joe. I'm just being. It's very.
No, I know you're the one on the spot right now. I appreciate you helping out, both you guys. Don't get me wrong.
Well, if I could, I saw a question pop up from Brandon, and this one. Brandon, I have a ton of stock stuff, so ping me sometime. We'll talk about it, and we'll go through stuff. And again, this is something that I preach about a lot in the DroneCav shows. Especially for newer operators, or if you're really going to get into flying drones yourself for your productions, for your films, you're going to need a lot of practice. It's not just something you're just going to instantly go out and do, because your results will show that. Yeah. So the best thing to do is go out and shoot stock and build yourself a library. Go shoot trees, shoot skies, shoot rivers, shoot roads. Just pick a topic and go out and spend a day, just burn through how many ever batteries you have, to get all the batteries you can. And just work at different angles, different altitudes, things like that. Before long, you'll have a nice stock library of your own. So, plus, you'll get a lot of good practice. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Not that I'm for killing birds with stones, but unless they eat my pineapples.
You have a weird obsession with pineapples, my friend.
Yeah. It's
a
weird
wait a minute, Terry. You're not involved in the Squirrel Lives Matter movement, are you?
Yeah, they matter for a few seconds. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, David, you know the pineapple story?
Is that about Lance and his milkshakes or something?
No. Well, just to make it short, I took a top off a pineapple, stuck it in the ground, and I said, I'm going to see if this will grow. I can't grow anything. I can't do anything. And stuck it in the ground. It started growing. And I YouTubed and did all the things. I would go out and water it and Miracle Grow and talk to it and watch the sun and blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, boom, this little thing popped out of the middle. Oh, what's that? It looks like a little red thing. And it kept growing and growing. It's a little baby pineapple. And it grew and it grew and it got its little sprout on top, and it grew and it grew and it got to be about this big. And it was a pineapple. I had created a pineapple. It was
okay.
growing.
Tiffany Shepis is now making fun of you.
Who is it?
Tiffany Shepis.
You sounded like a Hollywood executive there for a minute. Who is it?
Did I? And so anyway, I go out one day. Let's wrap it up. Half my pineapple's gone, and there's a fat squirrel running around the backyard.
Ron Purdy asked me. I don't mean to, just because hey David, do you have a list of folks who made the cut on the quarantine movie? Ron, every single soul who was kind enough to help me out and participated shows up at some point in the movie, even if it's just for a few seconds. If you are kind enough to make a video and send it to me, and there was a lot, and I mean a lot of people who were involved with this film, everyone who shot something for it is involved is in the final product. So I'm not the kind of guy who will ask people to go out and work on something, and not at the very least make sure that they are involved in the final cut. So yes, short answer is yes. Everybody who was kind enough to help me out is in the final cut of the film, except Joe Ridgely, who wouldn't help his friend out.
Really?
Ask how many people asked me to do a movie, and ask how many people I did a movie for.
How many people asked you to do a movie?
And how many people did you do a movie?
6 to be exact.
6, okay.
6. Guess how many I did?
6 big no's.
And it wasn't to be rude. It wasn't to be disrespectful. It was, there aren't enough hours in the day, unfortunately, for me.
No, I totally get it. And I was just teasing you, brother.
Oh, I know.
And Ron, I totally understand that has a whole new meaning to you. I think somebody you lost was involved with the film, and it's not lost on us as the production company. So I get it, and we love you and your family, and be well. Joe, thank you for pinch hitting tonight, Terry and David. Who is Master O'Snark?
I believe that is Steve.
Oh, no. I thought maybe it was our intrepid leader. Maybe it was like
no.
You're very welcome. And
Yes.
first of all, I want to apologize to everybody. I prepared for doing from like 11 to 12:30. I spoke with George and Joe right before the show. I'm not even wearing what I wanted to wear for my show. I had to take a massive leak like an hour and a half ago, and literally, and Joe will say this, at 9:59, me, George, and Joe were speaking, and I said, see you guys. It's it's going to be 9 o'clock in like a minute. And they said, see you later, brother. And I disappeared. And I was literally taking my headphones off, and I saw the show start, and George and Joe and George was literally like, and we knew something was going horribly wrong. And I'm sitting here with like in my underwear, really needing to take a whiz. And the show started, and I was like, I can't let Joe be hung out to dry like this. So in my infinite wisdom, instead of like running for my life like any normal people would, I said, I'm not going to let my brother hang 3 sheets in the wind and die the slow roasting death that I have in the last hour. I'm going to jump on this grenade with him. And that's exactly what happened.
You see, this is what I need to explain to everybody. This is exactly why I use the program I use, because I'm not taking the load for everybody, for their internet and everything. It's everybody for themselves. So if there's something wrong on their end, that's it. They can't say, oh, Joe, what'd you do? It's on your end.
This is a new hashtag. Can't blame Joe.
That's right.
Can't blame you.
Can't blame
That's
Joe.
exactly why I use this program, because the old program, they used to be able to say, Joe, it's your fault, but not this one.
Not this one.
I don't think this is
okay.
anybody's
So
fault.
that's George right there.
Okay. First time. About what the
That you
computer
can't blame
glitching?
me.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it could be a thing. It could be a new thing, a companion to Blame Joe.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
mean,
I mean,
if you've got salt, you got to have pepper, right?
if David didn't come on, I was ready to go get the bottle of Jim Beam and just start talking.
Now I feel like a schmuck for coming on, because God, I would have paid.
Good.
Yeah, I would have paid top dollar.
I would have been half naked by this time.
I was going to say mankini.
And probably shaving my head and waxing certain parts of my body. You see what that would have done for the ratings?
Yeah, they would have.
Oh, he said, put my thanks message up, jerk. That's going to get you a lot quick. And we'll see your thanks message.
I think maybe I apologized so much to everyone for tech diffs, maybe?
Oh, maybe that's what he's referring to.
That could be it.
I noticed you didn't put on the David, you are amazing for stepping up and jumping in. That part
Where
you
the
seem
hell
to.
is that? Oh, that's wow.
George, in all honesty, I know you do the same exact thing for me, and that's what the show's about. That's what this whole network is about. That's what the Brigade family is about. When we all stick together, we're a army of artists, an army of friends, an army of family. And when one of us is down, we all jump in the foxhole together and pick that one up, because that's what we do at the Indie Brigade. And that's what we will continue to do. And
It's
Joe's
not
off.
polite to call him a jerk, damn it.
Oh, wow. I'm here saying such wonderful things about
Right?
him. And he calls me a
It's
jerk.
the timing's everything.
Oh, well, I got the fan effect going on.
You
Libby
do
said-
kind of have that. I don't know. Gee, my hair smells terrific. Commercial thing. But
that might have been the fruitiest image of you ever, Joe. It's kind of horrifying.
it's
Hey, I'm going to get my
little,
Fabio on one way
Fabio,
or
yeah.
another. let me get my Fabio on.
Yeah, I see a pulp novel cover. But David, your comments about Foxhole Army, grenades, and all that made me think of this. Call of Duty. Who's playing Call of Duty? We got to get more people playing Call of Duty.
I don't even know.
Oh, that says BlameJoe.
What?
I don't even know what that is, so I apologize.
Oh, it's the video game thing we're playing. And I got one. Kelly bought me a Xbox for my birthday a month and a half ago. Man, you get started. I'm no good, but it's fun. It's crazy fun.
You know,
it's
sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just starting a long, pointless ramble about how cool it is to throw grenades and blow people up and shoot. And I usually shoot my own team members. I shot George and Grieco a million times, and they just. Why are you shooting at me?
Just to show you where my brain goes when you say Call of Duty, I'm picturing like a duty giving me a phone call. So I don't know what the hell that means.
Well, it's a multi-faceted potential comment.
No one sucks as bad as Lance. I mean, what is
Duty?
Oh, man,
Call of Duty. Okay, yeah, I thought.
Lance is fun to play with. He's been on a few times. But we need to get him on more. Lance, play more Call of Duty with us.
David, you going to play Call of Duty?
No.
Oh, come on. You got to get an Xbox. You got to jump on there.
No.
So I can shoot at you.
You could just come to Pennsylvania and shoot at me if you want.
I get vertigo so bad that, Terry, I actually have a hard time with the intro of your show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Call of Duty. I mean, you need sea legs for that thing. I mean, you're whipping and whirring around and jumping and rolling, and I'm still getting a handle on just the motion of the whole thing. And the thing that's so distracting, the graphics are so good. I mean, you look and you see reflections and shadows, and it's just so darn good. I catch myself looking over at like a box way over in the corner somewhere. It's like, man, the rivets on it look real. It's just a really detailed, really well built game. So, and it just goes way over my head and all the customization. But you get on there with some really good players, and man, they'll really teach you a thing or two.
Everyone, I just put the links in the actual comments. Click on the links for Discord. Sign up. Look up Romero Pictures. Same thing with Twitch. Sign up. And follow us and look for Romero Pictures. We're going to be doing a lot of Twitch exclusive stuff coming up. Stuff you're not going to be able to find on Facebook or YouTube. So please, Romero Pictures on Twitch, Discord. Just put the links up a moment ago.
Joe, I need to run to the bathroom. Now we can either wrap the show up, or you guys could carry it for the next 3 or 4 minutes and I'll come back. Your call.
You can go ahead and do your thing, David. It's not an issue.
Okay. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Okie dokie.
Tally-ho. Well, there we have it. See, I was just about to use that excuse, and now I have to think of something else.
You need to use the restroom? Well, I was going to have to go use the restroom, so I was hoping you could hold the show for a few minutes.
Well, if we
No,
all
I'm kidding. I don't have a problem holding a show. I mean, everybody's got to realize I've done this in the past. It is no big deal to me. I can go on and on and on. So I got plenty to talk about, especially
cool.
shit like this, even though George is not here. This is coming out this month on Heavy Metal, issue 301.
Awesome. That's gorgeous. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait for that.
And then, they totally ruined my freaking joke, which, hey, whatever. The joke I was,
Yeah.
There's some beautiful mugs.
Yeah.
And the coffee cups aren't bad either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That didn't go as well as I thought.
But let's see. Speaking of Lauren.
Yeah.
There you go. Dark military shirt on.
Right on.
Yeah.
I think George got some swag while he was there also.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lauren.
So, yeah. 302.
302?
What's 302?
Issue 302.
Oh, is it 302? I thought it was 300 just came out, right? I thought 30.
So 301 should be hitting about any time. So
so it's coming out in 302.
Will be after that.
Okay, my mistake. See, this is why I'm not your PR guy. Damn it.
Well, 301, 302. I mean, easy mistake.
No, what the hell? At least my computer's not doing this.
Ooh, pow. Low blow.
That was low. I'm sorry. Yeah, let me reel that back a little. Damn. It's that nervous snarkiness because I'm by myself.
Well, and Jim Beam, the Jim Beam factor.
Well, I didn't have
the lack of Jim Beam.
Brother, this thing is full.
Is it? Look at that.
Yeah.
Man.
There he is calling me names again. I'm trying to help a brother out, advertising his stuff, and wow, it is all good.
That is an awesome thing. I just love it. So I'm just so excited for all that to hit. It's just going to be so cool.
Me too. I'm just going to keep the jerk message up there for the rest of the. No, we're actually going to be wrapping it up soon because obviously things didn't go as planned tonight. Unfortunately, what the hell? Hold on, I'll be right back. George is calling me, Joe. Gunny's going to be hunting for me now. Shit.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Gunny, at least you'll have a pretty prize. Yeah. 220, 221, whatever it takes. Jerk squared. Sassy britches. Damn.
These are good. I'm going to write these down. Sassy
more than the computer issues. Wow. Okay. Apparently, Joe shouldn't speak anymore. Terry, take it away.
Take it away?
Because your hair is down.
Yeah, everything was good till your hair came down in the fan, and it threw us all. The Fabio thing. I just wasn't braced.
Right.
But it was a good test to see how they could handle the Mankini episode.
Yeah. So,
and we do have new Borat coming out later this month too.
This is true. So I went on Amazon and I ordered some wax. So they actually have a wax calculator.
Calculator?
Yes, to determine how much. Apparently, I need a 5-gallon bucket.
Is that like roll on or brush on?
It's roll on, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the going on is the easy part.
Yeah, taking off that is horrible. Are you really a good singer, Joe? Brandon, no, I am not. I'm a better actor than I am a singer.
Hey.
Why? You couldn't even wait for me to freaking sit down and get settled in. You had to make me look like
settled in. Okay, settle in.
Settle. He does look a lot fresher and brighter.
Who, Dave? Oh, yeah, get rid of all that urine. Joe waxing Twitch exclusive. Yeah. I would do that for a charity event.
That'd be a good
right after I shake my head. Kidding.
All right. I apologize, everyone. I think I'm about 9 pounds lighter. Well, when I snuck over to I built a wing on my house, on the south side of my home, where I have a room that's probably about 20 by 30 where I store all my toys. So I snuck in and grabbed a few toys to talk about because I'm a big toy nut. And I think, are you guys into toys?
Oh, yeah.
Check this bad boy out. I don't think this is extremely rare and extremely limited, but it's the Admiral Kirk Star Trek II. Is it NECA or Mecha made these toys, and they're extremely rare. But how cool is it to have a Captain Kirk in his Star Trek II uniform? What does that mean?
What?
It's not Star Wars.
Oh,
Star Wars is Star Trek's mildly retarded second cousin. Let's be honest, and it's only numbered 1 to 5,000. So, and this is number.
That's why Disney bought Star Wars instead of Star Trek.
Yeah, because Paramount will never sell it.
Lance is saying he has that.
He does it? Cool. So then if you have that, Lance, of course, then what's the next thing I'm going to show you? Lance, what if you have the Kirk, what's the other one from that exclusive set?
Oh,
of course.
It has to be Spock.
No.
The Doctor.
It's
Khan. Of course. How silly.
Khan Nguyen Singh, the wonderful Ricardo Montalban played him in Wrath of Khan.
Corinthian leather.
Rich Corinthian leather, yes.
Wrapped in rich Corinthian leather.
This is number 75 of 5,000. And on the back is a cool Star Trek picture of Khan from Wrath of Khan.
So that's that scene when William Shatner way overacts and goes, Khan!
Shatner overact? What? No.
Is that the movie with like the earworm things?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and of course, this one is of the classic Captain Kirk. Now, this classic Captain Kirk is from the original Star Trek film. He has his classic, it was more of a greenish color shirt on, and it had instead of the yellow one, it was just, this one kind of had a crease down the center, and this is, of course, on the back, you got Kirk and Spock and Chekhov.
Oh, and this is why I like Big Ed so much.
Oh, no one's perfect, Ed.
Do you have any action figures with like Dirk Benedict from Battlestar Galactica?
I do, if you want me to go get it.
What about Space 1999?
Do you have the Dirk Benedict from Battlestar Galactica and the A-Team, the whole side by side?
No, I hated the A-Team, but I have the Starbuck action figure. But this is also a very cool action figure. This is one of my favorite superhero movies that not many people show much love to. It came out, I think, in 1989. It had Bruce Campbell's brother, Bill Campbell, as the star, and it was The Rocketeer.
The Rocketeer.
Oh, I did dig that movie. That was a Disney flick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Touchstone flick. It had Bill Campbell and the great Alan Arkin and Jennifer Connelly, and it was set in the 1940s, and The Rocketeer was a superhero who had a jetpack on, and he fought Nazis, and he had a big battle scene at the end of the movie on a Zeppelin.
Was Martin Landau in that?
Who?
Martin Landau?
Martin Landau. No, it was Alan Arkin.
Oh, okay. So
Alan Arkin played the gentleman who helped out Joe Johnston did direct it, who also later went on to direct Captain America. And Alan Arkin is his partner. Jennifer Connelly is the love interest. Timothy Dalton is the main bad guy from Hollywood, and Paul Savino is the monster, the mobster, not monster.
I was going to say I don't remember a monster in there, but
yeah. A mobster. And yes, he's the same director as Captain America and the Wolfman. Yep. So
you know what that movie always reminds me of? What's that other one? Sky Captain in the
World of Tomorrow. Yeah.
They kind of have that same vibe or something.
Was that the one with Angelina Jolie?
Yeah. Haven't seen that.
No, I don't think Angelina Jolie was in it. I think the one from Iron Man was in it.
Huh?
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking she was in it.
Who's the chick from Iron Man?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes, I think Sky Captain had Gwyneth Paltrow and Ralph Fiennes, maybe.
I think so. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen it.
Oh, maybe somebody just said Angelina Jolie, Jude Law, and Paltrow. So yes, they were both in it. Yeah.
Okay, I was just looking it up on IMDb.
Yes.
Yeah, just real heavily styled movies. Fun movies though.
Flopped.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a movie that 95% of it was conceived inside of a computer, and usually when films are like that, they're very, very hard to have any real substance to them. So I would suspect that was a good reason why that movie.
It was right up there with John Travolta's space movie.
What was that?
Battlefield
Earth. Yeah. But I think that was more of a film that was based on L. Ron Hubbard's work, maybe? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it was. It was from a book or something, but
all I know is they made drinking games out of that, and
this is like trivia.
Trivia is good. I like trivia. We were talking about doing trivia on the Twitch channel. We was gonna figure out how to do it. We could literally have 10 people on screen playing against each other.
You could do like teams or something.
All right, let's play trivia. What director who later became a major Marvel filmmaker
John
directed
Favreau.
Darkman?
Oh,
Oh,
Sam
Was it
Raimi.
Raimi?
Yay! You got it right.
That was easy.
Okay.
Actually used the funding from Darkman to do that, I think, didn't he?
Did it do Spider-Man? No.
Yeah.
No.
It took Darkman to do Spider-Man. I forget the story behind it, though.
Well, I think it was a matter of that he showed Universal that he could do a big superhero movie. And Darkman's a great underrated film.
Wait a minute. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh. She's back.
She's back. She's back. What
Yep.
would you like, Tiff? Would you like to come on? If you would like to come on, say something, and we'll send you a link. Is that okay, or we're not looking for sending links?
I don't care.
No. Darkman rules.
Darkman.
Okay,
Rules.
who
We could play trivia about Darkman rules.
who is the very, very last actor to play Darkman in the movie?
I don't.
I am stumped on that one.
Oh, this is the easiest trivia question ever.
No, you can't handle all those great ratings. I don't even remember seeing the last one. I think I saw the first two, and like the third and fourth one, or I don't remember how many there are, but it kind of flew under my radar.
The very, very last person to play Darkman in the film Darkman was Bruce Campbell.
What?
Was it?
Yeah. Thank you, JD. You were 100% correct. The very last frames of the movie is Darkman's escaping, and he's putting on a mask, and then he turns around into the camera, and it's Bruce Campbell, and he.
Okay, I
puts
thought you
up
meant
his-
the actual actor who played Darkman. That's what
Well,
threw
he-
me off.
Bruce Campbell's actually playing Darkman in that scene.
With that particular
That
scene, I thought
scene.
you meant the actual movie who played Darkman in the last film.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Right.
That's why I was like, eh. Mind blown with. Okay,
It's-
David, trivia. What is Tiffany Shepis's best role? Hell, I'm almost thinking this trivia should be turning into a drinking game.
You know, it's funny. I was going to make a joke because everybody knows that Tiff and I love to bust each other's hump. But in all honesty, because I do respect Tiff as an actress. She's a horrible human being, don't get me wrong. But as an actress, she's very, very talented. And I am partial to a film that she did called... what the hell was it called?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. She
I
already
was
won.
gonna say.
She already won.
did.
Oh, there you go. What was that picture you did with? I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's a film that she did. B.C. Furtney was the director, and she starred alongside Stephen Jeffries, and it was just a really wonderful film. She played. She was in it, and she played, as I recall, maybe a cop. And her performance was really, really, really a good job. A stellar movie.
So many you can't choose.
Yes, that's true. That's true. There are so
I
many.
don't know. I went to go see. I watched the last movie that Tiff was in, and I was like, "Well, wait a minute. That's it? The hell?" I expected to see more of her in the movie. Is what I'm trying to say. I
New
forget
Terminal Hotel. Thank you, Tiffany. New Terminal Hotel, and it had also the reason I couldn't remember because I know they repackaged it, and there was another title, and it also had the late great Corey Haim in that movie. So that's actually a really, really cool movie, and you did a really good job at that, Tiff. And you should be proud of all the films you do, because making movies and acting is not easy. I was an agent. Okay, there you go.
And she was supremely good. You are right.
You weren't just good; you were supremely good.
Supremely.
All hail the supreme Tiffany.
Yes.
That should be
Supreme.
capitalized or something too. A special font.
See, I didn't choke, I didn't vomit, I didn't gasp for air. I could actually come up with a good performance by Tiffany Shepis. I am just as shocked as she is. I have no idea what all these like kissy smiley, but thank you. Any kindness from you goes a long way. You're usually flying your broom past the moon at midnight, cackling at my window.
She must go.
Oh yeah.
I have a feeling we're all going to be going in a second.
Yes, go with God. And on that night, Joe, I am going to actually go and spend a little time with my family and prepare for our big 11 o'clock broadcast. It's only a little more than a half hour away of the end of the night. We have Rusty Gilligan on, who is, of course, a wonderful artist. He does all the convention circuits. He's worked on the Avengers. He's worked on Spider-Man 2. He's worked on Captain America. He has great insights. Believe it or not, he actually was on Little House on the Prairie. So we're going to have a ton of stuff to talk to Rusty about. And we also have, hopefully, I've gotten 2 texts from Kelly saying he's trying to fix his technical difficulties. But Kelly AuCoin, the great dollar bill from the hit show Billions, is also joining us at the top of the hour. So everybody, please come back at 11 o'clock or just keep it on in the background. The end of the night, we're going to be on for the rest of the night to try and entertain you. And on behalf of George, I assure you that he's not happy that that his computer went on him tonight. He had a wonderful show planned. He had Richard Grieco, and he was going to do some great things with everybody in the Indie Brigade. And I'm sure he'll be back next week, and he'll do the program that he intended to do tonight. And on that note, I'm going to bid you gentlemen a fond adieu. I don't know if you're going to continue with the show or if you'd like me to sign us off. That's up to you, Joe.
No, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you staying with us all this time, David. It was awesome of you. And we will see you, or I'll see you at 11 o'clock.
All right, everybody. We'll see you at 11 o'clock. Be well.
See you later.
And we'll talk to you in a bit.
Goodbye.
Good night.
All right. So that leaves you and I.
You and I and you.
No pressure. No, I'm just busting your chops. We're going to be wrapping it up. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the drone cab and what you got going on. And I know you were planning on having some live shows soon.
I am. I'm working on some live shows. I've got well, I mentioned earlier, I'm planning on having Dale Metz on to talk about his film and some other projects. I've got another, we've talked about it, a special guest I'm still kind of ironing out the details on, so I won't say anything yet. Super fun guy, an awesome guy. And when we do that live show, you do not want to miss it. If you are into art at all, I'll drop that hint. If you're into amazingly cool modern art and rock and roll, you got to see this show. This
Just out of curiosity, does he have shows up in your area often?
Not often. Actually had one tonight in Orlando. I wasn't able to make it up there. He does a lot out in Vegas in normal times. Of course, everything's so wacky now. But he does a lot of stuff in Vegas. He has a very active part for children to bring kids in to teach them about art and get them into creativity and how to paint and in special ways and things like that. So I'm going to be talking to him and invite him on the show. And we've already talked some. And so, yeah, that it's not really going to get into any droney stuff. It's going to be probably touch on a bit here and there and some technology. But yeah, we'll really get the word out on this because everybody will love this show.
It's going to be the DJ Johnny Carson version.
Kind of, yeah. And a little bit more about what I've got coming with the drone cav. And we kind of touched on this earlier with my background and with Apple stuff and technology. There's so much support stuff that goes into drone cinematography. You have computers and you have issues like George is having tonight. But you have to think about all the peripheral things that go into this stuff too, which you already probably have a bit of a handle on as far as storing your media, managing external hard drives, the SD cards, all that kind of little goofy stuff that you forget about or you don't take make a priority. And so I'm going to be talking about more and more of that as we expand the drone cav out to not only flying and shooting in the air and drone stuff, but all the support stuff that kind of binds it all together and gives you a good, A to Z, bumper to bumper, good result to get that data off the card and into your film, into your production.
Very cool. And for those of you who actually stayed with us tonight, well, we were going to have a clip of Grieco's new song. So we're going to have to do that next week. I've heard the song, and I am telling you right now, as a rocker, I think it freaking kicks ass. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's Billy Idol-ish. It's got the guitar riffs, and it's the electric guitar riffs, and I was blown away, to be honest. I was like, that's not freaking Grieco. It was badass. So I guess we're going to be doing that next week now, hopefully. Awesome. So yeah, for those of you who stuck around, that was going to be one of the things that we were going to do tonight. But all right, I guess we're going to sign off. DJ, as for those that are new,
yes,
we call Terry DJ. It stands for Drone Jesus. I think George coined that one night.
Yeah, that just kind of came out of nowhere one night, and it just seemed to stick. So the shtick that sticks.
So yeah, if you ever hear us calling Terry DJ, that is the reason. Not that he's like got a DJ gig on the weekend or anything. Although that would be cool too with the drones. But
you never know. Well, and also on Discord, if you see DJ, that's me. On Call of Duty, Drone Jesus is my name on there. So I'm kind of answering more and more to that. It just seems to be the brigade thing. But hey.
And on Discord, I am RPIB Joe. It's probably kind of obvious, but so all right, Terry.
Yes.
So this is what we're gonna do. You are gonna do the closing.
Oh,
but you're gonna have to do George's closing. So I'm gonna put you over here. And I am going to give you full frame.
Full frame.
Full frame.
To do a George closing?
To do a George closing.
Let me get prepared for this.
All right.
Stress ball.
Do you have enough to drink? You need to go get some tequila?
I'm drinking water.
Sure.
I'm all like, oh, hell yeah, it's H2O. Me, I'm a picture of health, right? Right. Check it out. But anyway, we kind of winged it here, but we had a fun show. Got some trivia in. So next week he'll be picking up where we left off, or however you want to say it. But fuck off till next time.
Damn.
To be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.
Ridgely.
Don't look over your left shoulder.
Why?
Somebody's staring at you.
Ah! Hello, Mr. Ridgely.
Hello.
An interesting evening on the Brigade tonight.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in, helping us out. That was greatly appreciated.
My pleasure. I'm sorry that I wasn't more entertaining. I was had to pee like a racehorse.
Well, no, that was the entertaining part. The Star Trek stuff was. You got to dig your Star Wars toys out next time.
Not happening. Not happening. Not a big Star Wars guy. So do we know how Mr. Romero is progressing?
We do not as of yet. And again, apologies to everybody who saw the advertisements and plugs for what we were supposed to do tonight. I do apologize. There was a slight hiccup in George's system. We're hoping his computer didn't fry. But hey, that's beside the point. This is a whole nother show. So, David, what do we have going on?
Well, tonight we have none other than Kelly AuCoin, who stars on the hit television show Billions. He plays Dollar Bill. If you're a big fan of Billions, which a lot of Billions fans out there, you know who Mr. AuCoin is. He has an illustrious career. We'll talk about it all. And of course, we also have Rusty Gilligan, who's a wonderful, and I mean wonderful artist. He's a comic book artist. He's an illustrator. He worked in the art department on major blockbuster films like The Avengers and Captain America, the First Avenger, and Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's epic Spider-Man movie, which I still consider to be the very, very best superhero movie ever made. With that being said, what the hell was I going to say? Oh, with that being said, earlier this evening when we had our AV tests, which we do around about a half hour before George's show, that's when the celebrities chime in with us, and we do our test to see if everything's working. That's when we noticed that George was starting to have a problem. So again, everybody, I totally apologize for what happened earlier. George is a living legend, and he loves his show, and he'll be back next week. Billions, love it so much. Who doesn't love the show Billions? It's a wonderful, wonderful show. And of course, later in a few minutes, Kelly AuCoin will be joining us. I'm not 1,000,000% sure if I'm pronouncing his last name properly. If I'm not, my apologies.
Oh, I'm sure he'll let you know.
I'm sure he'll let me know. He'll probably reach through the screen and punch me right in the nose. And he's an amazingly talented actor. And from the interactions I've had with him on social media, he's a wonderful guy. And he'll be coming up in a few minutes. But Joe, I always start off in the beginning of my show with something silly or fun. And I want to show you my new Halloween toy.
Okay. You're getting full screen for that one.
All right. Can you see this?
That's a Halloween toy?
Yes. It looks like an old, ancient, reel-to-reel movie projector. All right. But when you press this little button on the side, you know what? I'm going to just bear with me, everybody. You're going to like this. You press that little button on the side, it actually projects a dancing skeleton.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, how cool is that? I think that's what was that Jackie Gleason, Paul Newman movie?
Hustler.
The Hustler. I think that's the music from The Hustler. So if you get a chance to go out and you see this wonderful, wonderful toy, now you know what it does.
Nice.
I had to kill an hour and 15 minutes on George's show, and you heard all of my silly stories, my ridiculous anecdotes in that time frame. So I'm going to take a sip of this iced tea, and then I'm going to introduce our first guest. So just bear with me for a minute.
Is that a Long Island iced tea?
No, it's a Pennsylvania iced tea. And
so it's watered down?
No, it just means it's about 180 miles west of Long Island. My first guest tonight has a wonderful, wonderful career in cinema and on television. And he currently is one of the stars of the hit Showtime television series Billions. Please welcome Mr. Kelly AuCoin. Hey, Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Just so you know, the great George Romero starts this broadcast evening off at 9 o'clock, and then we run from he runs from 9 to 11 p.m.
Wow.
And at 11 p.m., my train wreck of a show, The End of the Night, comes on. And tonight, sadly, the legendary George C. Romero, who has this big, elaborate, he looks like he has NORAD in his basement. Sure. He has his computer went shitter literally like 1 minute to 9. And before every show, we get on and we do an AV test and we talk to the celebrities who are on that week and we get ready, for the show. And as I'm taking my earbuds off to, I have to take a massive whiz. I'm a middle-aged diabetic. And as I'm taking my earbuds off, all of a sudden George is like, and I was like, oh,
yeah. No. Unfortunately, he started max headrooming.
Right, yeah. So you can't whiz. So you still have to whiz 2 hours later.
I literally see Joe like, oh my God, Joe, who is our co-host and our producer extraordinaire, is like, oh my God, George is not on. And I'm taking my earbuds off and I throw them back on. I'm like, hey, I could fill in for what I'm thinking, maybe 5 or 10 minutes as George is, his computer with a mallet or something. Right. And oddly enough, it was out for the entire show. So Kelly, wow. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I'm usually a lot more charming. I'm usually a lot smarter. I'm usually a lot wittier.
I was going to ask.
But yeah,
no, come on. This is good. This is perfect. This is big. Because look what I did to you. Like you wrote to me today, this morning, and said 8:45. Just do an AV check. Just come on and check. And I totally forgot. And like I just 5 minutes ago, as I was telling my wife, okay, I got to go do this interview. I looked at my phone and they were like, you were like, where are you from like 3 hours ago? So you owe me no apologies. I apologize to you. And thank you for trusting that I would actually be here. And thank God this is working.
No, I mean, first
with
of all,
no test. We had no test. We just did it. This was fucking free fall, baby.
You must have some kind of amazing background in this because, man, you look like freaking, you're like Joe Rogan. You are ready to rock. You have a perfect feed. You got the cool headphones. You got the cool mic. But you're not pulling the wool on anybody's eyes here, Kelly. No, you are a top-notch professional.
No, this is great. This is awesome. By the way, that was from The Sting, that movie. It was not
The
from
Sting.
The Hustler. That's from The Sting, and it was not. And what's his name from The Honeymooners?
Gleason.
Jackie Gleason had nothing to do with it. It was Robert Redford. It was Paul Newman. It was Robert Shaw. And if anyone out there, including yourselves, have not seen The Sting, you got to go watch The Sting. It's one of the great movies.
Don't watch part 2.
Oh God, no! Fuck no. No, it's just like wash your mouth out right now for even saying that.
Now, you see, Kelly, you got to forgive me, though. He said Jackie Gleason and Paul Newman. The only movie that registered with Jackie Gleason and Paul Newman was The Hustler.
Maybe that may be the only movie they did together, and that was a great movie. The Hustler is a great movie. I'm not casting any aspersions on that movie. I'm just saying that was The Sting. And The Sting is a great film. And Robert Redford, I'm just going to go on a little late night rant here, but Robert Redford does not get enough credit. He did some really fucking cool movies. Like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is a cool movie. It's a great movie. People don't remember how cool it was. Like those guys were fucking cool. The Sting, they were cool. The Hot Rock, which nobody remembers. Everybody remembers Sneakers. you remember Sneakers?
I do.
Mhm.
Okay, good movie. But The Hot Rock is like another Robert Redford heist movie from like 20 years earlier that is infinitely better. The 70s, like he had his 3 Days of the Condor. Like he had this vibe in the 70s with these movies that were just like, I don't know. Anyway, cool. The Candidate, Downhill Racer, all this shit. It was awesome. I don't know why I'm going off on this. Hi,
No,
everybody.
it's quite all
Kelly.
right. It's
Well,
quite all right.
the thing is, I actually knew that it was the wrong movie when I said it. I'm like,
I could see it in your eyes. I saw that, and you felt terrible. You felt dirty.
I
A
did.
little bit dirty. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this movie yet, Kelly. It came out, I think, within the last 2 years, but Robert Redford did this great movie recently called All Is Lost. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a tour de force. It's literally Robert Redford is stranded in the middle of the Indian Ocean because his boat gets a hole in it. It's like a Castaway, but with a talented actor, and it's just a great film. Check it out.
I should. All Is Lost. I'll check that out. Okay.
All Is Lost, yeah.
Awesome.
So first thing I need to know from you is how do you pronounce your last name? Am I doing it right?
I think you did. You said AuCoin, right?
Yeah, AuCoin, yes.
AuCoin. Yeah, it's like you take AuCoin, AuCoin. It's AuCoin. It's French, but what did we know? We just we make it sound Irish, which is great. I love the Irish. I always kind of wanted to be Irish, and so it's like O''coin, AuCoin.
Okay, sweet. And I'm going to try desperately not to geek out. I am not to brag, but I know a lot of celebrities I'm very close friends with, people who are really, really super famous.
Cool.
But I am a big super fan of Billions. And your your character is awesome. And the show is awesome. There you are with Axe from Axe Capital.
Bobby Axelrod.
Bobby Axelrod, yeah.
Bald is beautiful, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, you are much more talented than just for the role. You're not only known for the role of Dollar Bill. So let's talk a little bit about how you all got started. How did you get started in acting, and what was the? It's a two-part question.
Okay.
What made you get started in acting, and B, what actor inspired you the most to become an actor?
And C, put a Kelly spin on it.
It's too late to do anything physical, so I'm assuming you mean spin like a spin. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a family where like my mom sang, beautiful singer to this day. My sister sang. My dad was in politics, and you probably won't be surprised to hear there's a performative aspect to politics. So we were always in front of people, and and there was always art and performance art in my life. I don't know exactly how I got the bug, but I did, and I didn't tell anybody until I knew I wanted to be an actor from the time I was like 8, probably. It's a random date, but whatever, young. So 8 feels like young to me. And then sometime in high school, I told somebody I wanted to be an actor, and they actually said, I think you can make it. And that was a shocking thing to me. The reason I didn't tell anybody was like, I assumed whoever I told would be like, that's cute, kid. But this person said, yeah, I think you can make it. You got to work, and you got to whatever. They helped me lay out like what I needed to try to do. So yeah, I mean, I guess that was it. And it took a long, long time to make a living at it, but I got some breaks along the way. And one of the breaks was like when we got to New York, we moved into a place where the rent was dirt cheap. And that was like, the landlord was sort of, what's the term? It was like I got a grant. It wasn't,
okay.
I didn't get a money grant. I got a space grant.
Like a rent stabilized.
Essentially it was that. And because the rent was so cheap, I could work. And my wife was a dancer. Still is a dancer, but we came in as actor and dancer, and she's also a marine ecologist now. That cliched thing where you go from dance to marine ecology. so yeah, we sort of got lucky in a certain way, and I didn't get to a point where I was making a living acting until I was in my mid-30s easily. But I was doing work that I thought was interesting, and I could afford to do that, and that matters so much. New York is a vastly different place now than it used to be. It's so expensive to live here, and I don't know how I would not have been able to actually make my career if I moved to New York now. There's no way. It's just too fucking expensive. I forgot the second and third parts of your question.
No, it was really just.
Am I touching on it?
What motivated you to be an actor, which you did.
Yeah.
And if there was any specific actors growing up that inspired you to become an actor.
I don't think there were any specific actors, at least not famous actors that inspired me. I saw tons of theater along the way. Like, we would go back to Oregon and go to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, which remains a huge influence in American theater. And I would see people who were generally anonymous to popular culture, and they would inspire me. Names like Maureen Kilmery, who you'll never know, did a As You Like It that I saw when I was 12, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. She was Rosalind in As You Like It, and I was like, I want to do that. And when I first auditioned for the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, I mentioned Maureen I don't know, on a whim, I said, Maureen Kilmery did the show, and I fell in love with her, and I've been following her. I wanted to do whatever, and he had worked with her, ironically, and was like, oh, she's great. She's retired now, but she's over here. And I was like, okay, I was kind of joking. I don't need to know her life story. But it was true. Like that there are so many brilliant actors in this country and in this world that we never hear about, ever. Either because they never got a break or because they just decided, I want to do theater. And that can sometimes have a shelf life. But those are the people who inspired me along the way. People who you'll never know the name of. John Pribble, who's one of the most fucking brilliant actors you'll ever hear of in your life. And none of you will have probably ever seen any of his performances. And he was at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. He was at the Utah Shakespearean Festival, California Shakespeare Festival, and he was a fucking genius. So it's those guys.
No, I mean, I totally get it. And did you do a lot of stage work as you were progressing up the ladder?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Is there any particular role or performance that you were particularly fond of?
Yeah, a bunch. I mean, stage was stage is still, that's my first love, and it's still my best girl. Can you say that? That's something. Yeah, back. But that's like, honestly, that is my love. As I've been able to do shows like Billions of the Americans, where I've been able to be on 20, 30, 40 times, episodes, that approximates what you miss in TV is, and film is rehearsal. And I love the 4 weeks of rehearsal that you get. And I love tech, and I love immersing yourself, and then you launch yourself onto an audience. I love that. TV and film will never have that. But what you gain if you've been on for a long time that sort of approximates that is backstory. On Billions now, we just got renewed for a 6th season, by the way. Yay, just yesterday. Awesome. Maybe today. I can't remember now. I lose track of time. I'm old. But you gain that sort of backstory. It lets you launch into a scene with you don't need as much rehearsal anymore. But what was the question? I just babble. But what was the question you asked?
I was asking you about your favorite actor, and
right after that.
Yeah. I don't remember myself.
Yeah, see, I lulled you to sleep. That's what happened.
I may interrupt.
Yeah.
Scott Schiaffo, who is a regular on the show. David's not blowing smoke, Kelly. He's been raving over Billions for quite a while.
Oh, I'm so glad. No, look, Billions is so much fun. We have a blast, and everybody, for a show that is, we're all assholes. The actors are so lovely and so nice. We have a great time.
I have a little bit of a backstory. I was working back in, as I recall, I think it was 1996.
Okay.
And I was working as a page on Howard Stern's movie. Betty Thomas was directing, and Paul Giamatti was in that film. He played Pig Vomit. Howard Stern's enemy boss on WNBC radio. And I got to spend about 10 or 15. You know what? I mean, I think that's what he's credited as. I'm not being a schmuck.
No, he is. I just totally forgot about it. I was like, Pig Vomit. No, it's true. That's what's his name.
Yeah, he played Pig Vomit. And I got to spend one day about 10 or 15 minutes with Mr. Giamatti, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, his father was the great baseball commissioner.
Yeah,
and
he was.
Yeah, and Mr. Giamatti was so kind and so generous with his time, and he knew that I was just a young kid looking to learn about the business. And then when I saw that he was going to star in Billions, I was like, wow, I love Giamatti. The show is shot. I grew up in Middle Village, and Middle Village is where you guys shoot the scenes in Rose's Pizza on the corner where Axe gets his. He knows the guy who owns that pizza.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been to that set one time, and you grew up right there. That's amazing.
I grew up about 150 feet away from Rose's Pizza is on the corner, so I kind of have like a weird feeling for that show. Yeah. Everything about it is awesome. Tell me a little bit. It seems like, and I totally understand why this happened, but this season, incredibly wonderful season, but it seemed like it was unfulfilled. Did it get stopped for COVID purposes?
Oh yeah, no, totally. Yeah. I mean, we wrapped 7 episodes. We aired those episodes. We just kind of dipped our toe into shooting episode 8. I think we had 2 days on episode 8 when we got shut down on March 12th, and I was there. I was there for the final. I was shooting the final scene of that day, which was lovely because I got to say goodbye to everybody as we were all packing up. We are going to finish this season, but we just don't know exactly when.
I would assume you're probably going to finish 4 or 5 episodes for this season. Maybe show them in September.
We have 8 through 12
right
to finish.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know any of it. Like, they literally don't talk to me about it. I know what episode 8 is because I got that script and we started shooting it. I have seen episode 9. I honestly don't know if they're going to alter things a little bit to deal with COVID. I don't know. I would guess that Damien and Paul know a little bit more than I do, but it's always been amazing to me. This is the first series that I've been a series regular on, but I've been a regular recurring, like a major recurring character on a couple other shows, and it's always amazing to me how even the top people don't know what the scripts are. It depends. If they're a producer, they might know more. But they just don't know. They keep us. They keep us in this this sort of position of mystery, and so none of us know what the season was supposed to be, and none of us know if they're going to alter what it was supposed to be to slightly, majorly, kind of whatever deal with COVID. What we do know is that Showtime is committed to bringing us back to finish season 5 and then shoot season 6, which is awesome.
Awesome! Congratulations! It's a wonderful, wonderful show.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, it's actually starting to grow the legs of another show that you appeared on, The Sopranos. Tell us a little bit about how you got on The Sopranos.
Well, Sopranos, I mean, God, I was so thrilled. This was ages ago now, but I was so thrilled. It was much earlier in my time in New York. I was like, I want to be on the fucking Sopranos. Awesome. And there was talk about it becoming a recurring character because I was one of the FBI guys. I was dealing with a team that followed Dre Demitato around, and I had one. So my first it ended up being one episode. This happened to me on Blue Bloods as well, where it was like, you're going to be recurring, you're going to be back a lot, it's going to be awesome, and then it was like crickets. It was one thing. And so for The Sopranos, this was my line. Was this man with him? And that was it. That was what I did on The Sopranos. I will put that on my resume till the end of my fucking life because it was The Sopranos, but that's all I did. I was in the back of a car. It was raining. I got in the back of a car, and the main FBI agent, the woman, I can't remember her name because I'm old, but she was brilliant, was talking to Dre Matato, and then she said something, and she looked over at me, and I put a picture of a guy who was all bloody, and I said, was this man with him? And she was like, yeah. And I looked really mad, right? I looked like angry, and I ran out of the car, and we burned rubber out. And I was like, this is the beginning of my career with The Sopranos. And that was it. That's all I got to do. But it was great. I mean, I just auditioned for this thing, and it wasn't a big role, but at the time, that felt like legitimacy, Like it took me so long to make a career out of this where I made any sort of comfortable, and what I'm still on the verge living, but what kept buoying me was things like, I was talking to someone about this just today, even though you didn't ask, I'm going to tell you, like there were certain people who I respected who were like, no, you're fine, you're good, you'll make it, you'll do something, and certain like casting directors who would put me in things like that were supposed to be more, and they just didn't turn into something more. But that felt like legitimate, like that legitimized me in my brain. I can do TV because I got cast in The Sopranos. It didn't occur to me, thank God, that I was like, well, it was going to be bigger, but then you fucked it up, so that's why it didn't. I never went there, thank God.
It's funny because Ray Abruzzo, who played Little Carmine, is a friend of the show, and a dear friend of mine. We actually both grew up in Middle Village, where Rose's Pizza is, oddly enough. And he has so many wonderful stories about the set of The Sopranos. So it must have been fun shooting there. Yeah. Just so you know, Kelly, and a lot of people don't get to hear this because we live in a weird world where people don't like to say nice things about other people. So Kelly,
fuck that.
Yeah, well, I'm not like that. I'm going to tell you straight out. I've seen a great deal of your work, and what makes you a wonderful, not a wonderful actor, not just a competent actor, but a wonderful actor, is that you always seem to bring a life to your character that is layered, especially in Billions, where you never really know if Dollar Bill is a jackass, or if he's a goofball, or if he's a really, really deep, multi-layered human being, because you see that in him too. And that takes a very, very, very delicate balance of skill that you have shown in a lot of your work. So kudos to you, my friend. You're a wonderful, wonderful actor, and the show Billions is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much. That is.
You're
really
very, very welcome. Another friend of the show, Bill Sadler, who was on recently. Bill was. I had to ask him this because Bill lives right over here by me.
Sweet.
And I'm a huge, huge Blacklist fan. Mm-hmm. And I'm an enormous Bill Sadler and a big fan of yours, as Scott Schaff from Clerks just told you, and a big fan of James Spader. So you have to tell me what it was like to work with James Spader.
I did not actually work with James Spader. When I worked on Blacklist, it was I was pretty much solo because I was going to be. This is so bad. I mean, this was another one of the shows that I was supposed to be like a recurring on. I did 3 episodes to end one season, and I was going to be the henchman of the new big bad, the Russian guy. And again, he was a great guy, and I'm having a senior moment and not remembering his name. And then they didn't bring me back, so I was bummed. but it made it easier because that was the year that Billions made me a series regular, so I probably couldn't have done it anyway, so that would have been awkward. I just want to say about Bill Sadler, though. He and I met doing Julius Caesar on Broadway, and Bill is. I was obsessed with Bill because Bill and Ted
when he played
2
Death
was one of the seminal movies of my youth. And, you know, You Sunk My Battleship was like the thing that I have a friend, my buddy Jake, and I would always talk about. Whatever we would talk about, somehow we would work You Sunk My Battleship into that sounds like Borat, but whatever. So when I met Bill, the first thing I said to him was, "You have sunk my battleship." And to his credit, he gave me he let me have a second try at getting to know him. I adore him, and I've been up to his place. So you live near him?
Yeah, he lives on the other side of the bridge in New York.
Oh my God, that's a great place.
Yeah, and I live on the other side of the bridge in Pennsylvania.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful area you guys live
It's so
in.
funny because within a half hour, it's amazing how many people are migrated up here. I mean, Brian O'Halloran and Huey Lewis are literally my neighbors. Tim Busfield is right up here now with Melissa Gilbert. And Bill is over on the other side of the Newburgh Beacon Bridge. Yeah. So it's kind of like we all got a little community going on up here.
Totally.
A great story about Bill Sadler.
I have another one too I want to tell. Go ahead.
This is going to crack you up. I had him on the show, and I was like, "Mr. Sadler,
you're not going to do what you. You're not going to."
He told the story, Joe. He told it on our TV show, so it's okay. Mr. Sadler tells this wonderful story about how he was he on Broadway or was he off Broadway?
I believe it was on Broadway.
He was doing a Broadway show, Kelly, and the curtain was about to lift, and he said, "I was so nervous that I let out this giant fart." And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Bill Sadler's telling this story on my show." And I start laughing like a mental patient, like you are. And then he goes, "But the bad part was, Dave, it wasn't only a fart. I shitted my pants." And I was like, I literally said, Bill Sadler just said he shit his pants on my show. And he said I had to do the rest of the show with shit in my pants. And
leaning up against something so nobody can see his backside.
Yes.
Well, if it was the show that we did together, we all knew. No. It was a Roman, maybe he had a toga or something. No. Wow, Bill, this is better than my story because this is fantastic. I'm going to have to use this because Bill and I haven't talked in a bit. The last time Bill and I saw each other was weirdly in an airport in Kansas City where we were in line at a coffee place. And all of a sudden, it was early, and I looked up. I heard a voice, and I looked up, and Bill was charming the person who was serving him coffee, and I was like, "Fucking Bill," which was great. But so Bill, this is my Bill story. About a year after we did Julius Caesar, he was like, "Come up and visit," and so my wife and I went up to visit and got out of New York for a while, and he took us out to his yard and he was like, I'm going to chop some wood. Come out and hang out with me. And he sort of did that thing that Huckleberry Finn did or Tom Sawyer did where he made it seem really exciting to paint the fence. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to chop wood." And Carolyn said something like, "Oh, I've always loved wood and Kelly chops wood." And so I chopped the wood and Carolyn chopped the wood. And he was like, "That's really great that you guys chopped my wood." And then he was like, "I need to go back inside and I got to go." He has this huge yard, lawn area with, grass that's up to here. And he's like, "I have to mow this." And he's like, "But at least I got this really cool sort of like, tractor machine that I could go on. And I was like, oh, ooh, can I try it? And he's like, sure, which is exactly what he wanted me to do. And I tried it. And then I was like, I'll do it. And it took me like an hour and a half. And the first 20 minutes was great. And then the last hour 10 was awful. But he is like fucking Svengali. He will make you think you want to do his chores, and then you do his chores. And that's my thing. Anyway, it was lovely. Bill, I would love to come back to your place. I don't want to mow your lawn again.
And look, you're one of the very few men who could say you touched Bill Sadler's wood.
He doesn't want to mow your lawn, but he will chop your wood.
Yes.
I'm leaving that one alone.
There you go. Another great show that you showed up on, and was one of my favorites, because I don't think it's not on anymore. Was Elementary. What was it like working on that?
It was really fun. We had a great time. I remember we didn't have a ton to do. We were like we showed up in suits. I think my scene partner was gray suit and I was black suit. And again, though, it was one of those things where we were told, you guys, that you don't understand. Like, we're gonna bring you characters back, and they never did. But it was just fun because I loved both of those actors. And it was fun to be on the set. We didn't have a ton to do, though. It was one of those times when I was doing a play, and the the director of the show and the artistic director of the theater was like, I believe you're going to be done in time to make curtain. And I was like, I can't guarantee that. Literally contractually, they're not guaranteeing that. And he's like, yes, but I believe. I was like, I think you need to cancel the show. And he's like, nope, I think it's going to work out. And it weirdly did. I made curtain like, usually you have to be there like a half hour beforehand. Shows at 8. You have to be there at 7:30. I think I got there at 7:40, and we went up on time. But that's that sort of power of magical thinking. Do you remember seeing Shakespeare in Love? I can't remember the name of the character, but he was always like, it works out, and the guy was like, how? And he's like, I don't know, it's a mystery. But that's true with theater. It's like somehow it works out, and that's what happened that day. I got to shoot a TV show, and then I got to make my curtain. It was great. That's part of why you go to New York.
Yeah, it's funny. It's because Roddy McDowell once said to me about acting and performing is you throw a whole bunch of shit against the wall, and whatever falls off, don't do, and whatever sticks. And I was like, I'm not sure what that meant, but as I got older, I kind of understood what Mr. McDowell was saying there.
I love that.
Tell us a little bit about playing Pastor Tim on The Americans.
God, so there's the wig. Look at that wig. That's a monstrosity. The Americans.
You look like John Hurd there.
Oh, I'll take that. Okay, I'll take his career. John Hurd is a wonderful actor. So
I hope I got the right name.
The Americans was my favorite show on TV when I auditioned, and oftentimes when that kind of thing happens, I fuck things up. Or at the time, anyway. This was 6-7 years ago now, but it was sort of surprising that I didn't fuck it up because I wanted it so badly. I had auditioned the previous season, in season 1, for a one-off, and thank God I didn't get that. I kicked myself for ages that I didn't get it, and thank God, because this became a recurring thing. What I loved about the character of Pastor Tim was, so I come from a political family, and my dad's heyday in elected office was in the 80s, 70s and 80s, and I remember a time when churches were progressive, politically progressive, and they still are. But the dominant storyline nowadays with churches is a much more right-wing kind of thing. And look, I'm not trying to get. I am, I guess, but apologies if I'm getting too political. But what I loved about this character was it went against the grain of what presentation that we have now. Pastor Tim was a near Marxist, actually, and as much as the main characters in the show wanted to kill him because he was indoctrinating their Soviet daughter into the church, they also had to grudgingly respect that he was a leftist. And there was that weird sort of dichotomy between them. On set, what I loved was working with Holly, who played Paige, because she's hilarious and kind of a genius, an unsung genius of the show, playing a kid that age, 15 or 16, who actually acts like a character a person would act at that age. And then every once in a while getting to work with Matthew Reese and oh my God, what's happening? What's my problem?
Kelly, I know your bedtime is usually 11 o'clock.
I know.
So I mean, it is late.
But they're genius actors. The two leads are they're so fucking good, and it was, and they're funny and they're generous and they stick around for their reverses. You know, I've been on shows where when the leads finish, especially people who work so many hours, because a show like that they're on all the time. There's rarely a scene that one of them is at least not in. They always stuck around for their reverses, even if it was in midnight. Even when Carrie Russell, even during the season when she was pregnant, she never left. It was great, and when I did my final scene with them, it was really fun to just have a moment to chat with them. And the thing I will always hold in my heart is that Matthew said to me, "You were always." He's British. He said he's Welsh. He was like, "You were hilarious to work with," and I was like, "That's awesome." You know, like they're just great people and generous actors, and they play ball. And so that was my experience on. That's my random. Scattershot way of explaining my experience on that set.
All right, Dave, you got to take this one statement if you could, please.
What's that?
Kelly, any good stories working for Peter Berg on the set of a film I really dug, The Kingdom? Great cast and an intense film.
Yeah, I had a blast working on that. So that was my first. That was one of my early big movies that I got to work on. I didn't do a ton on it, but it was really fun, and I got to work with. Richard, I'm doing it again, but Anna Devere Smith and Richard Jenkins, who two of the geniuses in different ways, two acting geniuses. Anna Devere Smith more with theater, and Richard Jenkins, hopefully you all know, he's one of the fucking most brilliant actors on TV and film. And being in a room with those people and just getting fed lines from Peter Berg, and it was one of those moments where, because it came in the midst of a dry spell, getting cast in something like that, being trusted to do shit with those people it was a buoying kind of experience. And I got the best part of it, though. The best part of it was that our hotel was a half hour from set. So every day I got to be in a van with Richard Jenkins and Anna Devere Smith for an hour, half hour each way. And I just talked to them, and I just picked their brains, and it was as much as I loved being on set and playing with Jamie Foxx, and having Peter Berg throw lines to us and say, "Okay, you're too angry with each other now. Do this. Okay, now be angrier." And we were like, it was like playing ball with Jamie Foxx, and Jennifer Garner. We had a little bit to do, but it was mainly him and me. But as much as that was great, the best part of it were those van rides. And Anna Devere Smith also understood and was still immersed in that New York theater experience, which was still my base at that time, and knew some of the companies. My wife, who is a dancer and was dancing with, some of the stuff she was doing at the time. So it felt like, and here we are in the middle of Arizona, pretending to be in Dubai or whatever the fuck we were supposed to be. And I'm just like geeking out because these are two of my favorite actors in the world. And my opening salvo to Richard Jenkins was, my wife would kill me if I didn't say we are obsessed with you because of what was the show, 6 Feet Under, which is the first time we ever saw him. And thank God he didn't think I was a stalker. He just thought it was charming. But anyway, so that's my, again, roundabout answer.
As a fan of yours and as a filmmaker, it is very easy to see why you are so beloved in the characters you play and why you are so talented, because you are one of the rare cases of people who do this for the right reason. You clearly have a passion to do good work. You clearly understand that you need people and fans to back you to continue to work. And you have a kind and generous spirit. A funny story, and it was making me think about what you were just saying. When my first film came out, Mr. Hush, everybody asked me, what was it like? What was the greatest thing about it? And I said, the overwhelming feeling I had. I was driving my daughter. I take my wife and daughter every August down to Disney in Florida for a week. And we were driving down, and in Fayetteville, North Carolina, the brakes on my SUV were starting to go. So I pulled into a hotel to spend the night so that I could get the car looked at in the morning. So I put my wife and daughter to bed, and to unwind, because I was driving from New York to Fayetteville, North Carolina, I walked in the Walmart superstore that was in the same parking lot as the hotel we stayed in. And at that very moment, it was like as if God was shining his light on me. They were putting up the end cap for my movie, Mr. Hush. And at that moment, I realized that this stupid little film I made with like pop culture icons that I dreamed of working with, and Huey Lewis did the soundtrack, this silly little movie that I did in Milford, Pennsylvania for a couple $100,000 is now going to be seen by people outside of Milford, Pennsylvania. And that meant more to me than anything else. Yeah. That it was actually something I did that actually is going to be seen by somebody. And it's really, it's those kind of stories that I love hearing. I love hearing stories about when really accomplished actors met somebody that meant something to him. Like I met Roddy McDowall, and I worked on him with his book on photography, and he was a wonderfully kind and generous human being. Then I met Malcolm McDowell, who I adored, and he wasn't. So it's really just a whole bunch. It was really just a whole bunch of stories like that I realize that when you're doing something artistic and not for the money or for the celebrity, is what makes, I think, people attracted to you as a performer.
I'm overwhelmed. That's lovely. I'm really taken by your description of your first movie and making it, and the experience you had realizing that, oh, this is going to actually affect people I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember I went through I had what I thought was a little initial success and then nothing. And I went back to my base. I went back to theater and and Shakespeare festivals. And I remember being at the Illinois Shakespeare Festival, which was a non-union, but fucking brilliant. Like really, like it might be union now. I don't know, but like the people there were such good actors. I learned so much when I was there, and doing like Cymbeline, which is a show that you almost never see done, and Comedy of Errors, which was a really fun sort of like we did a 1930s 40s movie, Hollywood farce version of it, and Henry the Fourth, and I remember the work we all worked so hard and we all partied so hard, and we were young so we could do both, and the audiences were so fanatically engaged in what we did. And I remember thinking, because I felt like a failure, I felt like some of the earlier successes, I was poised to do something amorphous. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, this is gonna be great, and that didn't work out. And then I went and I felt humbled, and I went to this place. I was like in the middle. I'm in like Normal, Illinois, Bloomington, Normal, Illinois, doing this Shakespeare festival, and my perspective changed. I was like, we're doing brilliant work, and we're doing work for people who want to see it, and we're doing something. We really are. We're creating something amazing, and yes, of course, it's going to be gone after the performance, but that's the ethereal nature of theater. And who am I to say that it's lesser because it's not in New York, And it helped buoy me and stabilize me, and it's sort of what you're talking about. It's like knowing that there's something beyond your perspective of what something is going to be or has to be, and understanding that the ramifications of what you're doing are greater than you might expect.
Absolutely, and any given night when billions are on, your show, your performance, millions of people are being affected by A, your talent, and B, you entertaining them in a time when, by the way, Libby McDermott's a wonderful, wonderful director. Maybe someday. I'd be honored to work with you again, Libby. Your work is out there touching somebody. I know this is another thing that we share. I'm a little bit of a Trailblazers fan. What do you think about the squad in the coming year?
I don't know, man. I'm always I'm such a fan. I never want to talk. I always hesitate to talk publicly about like moves I think we should make, and I don't know. I mean, obviously Dame Lillard is a superstar. He's one of the top 10 talents in the NBA. CJ, I think, is one of the underrated superstars in the league. Nurkic might be a top 5 center, but I don't know. We need to make sure we have a complementary team around them. And we've got some guys like Zach, who's Zach Collins, who's always hurt, which sucks because he has so much fucking potential. And we had Gary Trent. I don't know. I'm just like, here I am. Just you're probably like, oh fuck, don't just name people you like.
Oh no. I mean, I'm with you because I'm a rabid basketball but sadly, my teams always suck. What'd you think of Cliff? What'd you think of Cliff Robinson passing away? That was a real blow to the.
So there are so many of my Trailblazer pantheon who have passed away, and some of the guys who were particularly
Wasn't
inspiring. inspiring.
Petrovic was a rate blazer, right?
Well, that was really early on, but you had people who were inspiring because they were second round picks, like Kersey and Robinson were, who had this sort of like lunch pail kind of they had this workman-like attitude. Those are the guys I particularly love. Terry Porter might be my favorite all-time Portland Trailblazer, and he was picked, I think, the 24th pick out of Wisconsin Stevens Point. And
my favorite one is Clyde Drexler.
Well, of course, because Clyde Drexler was particularly good at basketball.
Clyde. All right, we're boring the shit out of my audience, so I apologize, everybody, before talking about basketball. Kelly, I want to thank you so very much. I'm totally honored to have you on the show tonight.
Oh, it's so much fun. Anytime.
And you are a wonderful guest, and now a friend of the brigade. I'm going to take you up on that maybe at the beginning of next season, have you back on the show.
Absolutely.
Kelly, all the very, very best. Good luck with Billions. You're a wonderful actor, a kind human being, and everybody. Is there any upcoming films or websites you would like to promote or plug?
There are 2 films that will come out at some point. I have some small but fun roles in. One is The Good House with Sigourney Weaver, Marina Baccarin, and Kevin Kline, and then a movie from A24 called False Positive. So yeah, a couple things coming out. I just want to get back to doing Billions again. Eventually we'll get back to shooting. But
Awesome.
Thank you for having me on. This is really lovely. You guys are great. This is so much fun.
Thank you, Kelly. It was wonderful to have you again. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kelly AuCoin. You could watch him on Billions and check out his new films. Thanks again, Kelly.
Cheers.
Looking forward
Thank
to
you.
next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful guest. What a wonderful guest. And I want to apologize to Rusty, who we're going to bring up momentarily, because you ran a little late with Kelly. But we have all the time in the world for you. I was actually a little bit tongue-tied because I'm an enormous Billions fan. Kelly is one of the best parts of that show, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Without further ado, our next guest is also a very, very dear friend of mine. I know him for over a decade. He's a wonderful artist. He's a unbelievable talent and just a great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rusty Gilligan.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Rusty, how are you, my friend?
All right. What a terrible introduction. Oh my God.
Yes. Well, you know that I just I don't like you at all. Is really the
Yeah.
case.
Well, we tolerate each other.
Yes, it's. So
And
how
now
are you?
now I can tolerate Mr. Joe Ridgely.
Yes.
Well, funny story though. I actually approached Rusty, probably 5-6 months ago to be on the show.
Oh, really? And what did
Yeah.
he tell you? Drop dead?
Well, no, I was actually looking forward to do an artist show.
I couldn't do it at the time because I was stripping at a club and I injured myself on the pole. But
And he was dressed up as a furry. Is that what they call with Mac and Trouble?
everyone thinks it's me in the cat costume. That's awful. It's like a 7 foot tall cat. Have you ever seen me? I'm like 5'9", shaped like a bowling ball on pretzel legs. So I don't think that I would fit in the suit, and it would be like out to here.
For those of you that don't know, Rusty, he does the circuit and the conventions, and he is just awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. But as an update, I used to do the circuit. I'm done. I have to stop doing conventions.
No.
Yeah, this. It wasn't the virus or anything like that, but when I was wrestling, I hurt my back many years ago. I was wrestling in the 80s, and I fell off the ropes and I landed on a table. I had a big black and blue on my back, like the size of a dinner plate. It went away, but then, like all other things do, it caught up to me. And I'd say about maybe 10, 12 years ago, I started having some really bad problems. Now it's just, it's a terrible drag. It's hard to walk around. It's hard to stand for a long time. and my back freezes up a lot if I sit for too long. So it's just hard. Odd story, which is related to this, which is amazing because I get off the subject so many times. But I went to the Plattsburgh Comic-Con in New York 2 years ago, and it's like a 6-hour drive from where I am. So 6 hours there, both days I was there with a couple of different stars. As soon as I got back, I started having problems with my leg. I was going to cancel my doctor's appointment the next day. And then for some reason, I just went. And when I got in there, the doctor put me in the hospital for a week, just because of the fact that, I had, I was in the car for so long sitting, and I was inactive and everything else. So it's just hard for me. It's actually the drive and the hard sitting. The hotels are impossible for me to sleep at. I actually did a 3-day show where I didn't sleep all 72 hours because I couldn't sleep in the hotel. I have to sleep a certain way because of my back. And yada, yada, yada. This is turning into an episode of General Hospital. So, but it was just hard. It's hard. So I don't think I could do the shows anymore. I have 2 or 3 that I was supposed to do this year that were rescheduled for next year. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't like to tell anybody. I don't like to make promises to anybody and not fulfill. But we'll see what happens.
Well, it's good to have you on here, regardless, and speaking about it.
Well, yeah, it was such a physical demand on my person to be here in front of the computer, sitting.
So tell me, Rusty, I always wanted to ask you this, and you and I, we've gone out to dinner together, we've done shows together. I know you a long time, and I never really got to ask you this because it's
why I never pick up the check. Yeah, I know.
No. One of my very favorite shows of all time. Everybody on here makes fun of me for being a Waltons fan and for being a Little House on the Prairie fan. And I know that you were on Little House on the Prairie playing Andy Garvey. Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm a huge Western nut. Like, I love Western films. As a matter of fact, I just saw 3 of them today while I was working. So when I was a kid and the opportunity came up to work with, Michael Landon, I thought, oh my God, I have to work, with him. So I did my absolute best to try to get on that show. So just short of sleeping with the director, I did I showed up at every interview and I learned my lines. Most of the time it's like a pickup thing, you have to remember it was 70s, early 80s. So you get on, you would go on an interview. They would throw a piece of paper at you. Here's your lines. You'd read them with someone, in the casting office, and you'd have to pretend it was like a big star and you're out in the field and blah, blah, blah. I had a great time. It was literally it was a great experience for me, with kind of a tragic twist and a tragic end, because I got to work with Michael Landon and all the major cast. And what happened was I was in the first 3 episodes of season 4, and this was one of those shows that was done like a Western. And the way Western format shows were done is they would do what was called set paradise. If you're supposed to be in a field, well, they would figure the first 6 episodes, whatever was supposed to be done in that field, change the camera angles. They would do everything for the first 6 episodes. Then they would switch to the barn, and they would do that. And they would redress it as another set, and on and on and on, which was actually pretty famous because Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Man from U.N.C.L.E., they all used to do the same thing. They would actually turn the computers upside down from Battlestar Galactica to Buck Rogers, and it would be the same exact room, and the stars would literally be move over, and they would tape something right there some days at the same time.
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh, it's so I can't even tell you. As a matter of fact, when they were doing when they were doing some Western movie, they actually took a week off, and some of the same sets were used for Planet of the Apes. It was just facades thrown in front. If you watch the movie closely, you could actually see a saloon sign in the back of one of the Ape City areas, but they toss it off. But anyway, back to this. See, I told you I got off the course. But anyway, I had gotten, like all kids do, chicken pox. And I did my best to keep my eyes open under the bright lights, and I did my best to, work with, the itchy clothes and lay on the ground and ants all over you and da-da-da-da. I even got bitten by a snake when I was working on the show. And the Michael Landon and one of the directors came over, and the rare occurrence where Lord Michael wasn't directing, and came over and said, listen, we don't think it's going to work out. We're going to have to recast your part, but you basically pioneered this part for us. You were the prototype, in other words, for this character. So your footage is going to be spread across all of season 4 and possibly into season 5, which it was. And I got paid for the whole season and a couple of extra episodes in 5 and a lot of the promotional stuff. Thankful that Merlin Olsen, who was, on the Rams at the time, LA Rams, he played my father, and he was a fantastic advocate for young actors. So when he got on the show, anything that happened on the set, anything from pulling pranks to, getting mad at a kid, he was like right down their throats. And Landon was not the greatest person to work with. I won't speak ill of the dead. I'm not like that. But I will say that he was scared crapless in front of this giant football player. He was literally as big as some of the wrestlers that we know, David. He was gigantic.
What were we talking about, Merlin Olsen?
Yeah, he was fantastic. But that's how things went. And then right around that time, I wound up kicking it and working on a movie for NBC called Crash Island. And that was a pilot movie that was supposed to be made into a series. It wound up being shown like 3-4 times because it got preempted twice because of political debates and elections and whatever. And it kind of became a cult following. It kind of had its cult following for a while. But I got to work with people like Meadowlark Lemon from the Harlan Globetrotters and Pat Morita, which was very cool, from Karate Kid, and on and on and on. And there was actually a bunch of really popular people that were in it. There used to be a show on years ago. It was one of the progenitors of the late night soap scene, the Mary Hartman. And one of the stars on that was in the show, and it was pretty cool. I actually had one of the leads, so I was very happy with it.
Sweet. I remember Mary Hartman, and there was a show on it, Women of Cell Block H, or Prisoners of Cell Block H.
That's right. That's right.
Those were the shows back then. So you're an accomplished actor as a young man, and you're doing some wonderful things. What made you decide to then become a professional wrestler?
Well, I guess it was necessity. What happened was I was an only child. 6 years old, I'm going to acting classes because in New York during the late 60s, very early 70s, people would be like, do you want to, what do you want to do in the summer? Well, the local PS has, public school. The local PS has arts and crafts. So do you want to go there, 2 hours, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? Sure. So I went and did that. Also did dance. I did ballet. I did tap, which I really enjoyed, both dancing classes. Ballet is so free. I don't care how, weird that made me sound. It was a great experience. So I got into acting, and that's where I got, I don't know what to say, discovered. That makes it sound so fancy. That's where I got noticed, and I was on Broadway after that. After a while of doing acting, my type became flooded. There were kids like, Mino Pellucci, who was very popular at the time. And, I just had one on Moosey Dwyer was another one. There was like 50 kids that were all the same type. The only thing that separated me from them, red hair and freckles. I look like Howdy Doody. So acting kind of shriveled up a little bit for me. I did a little bit of voice, a little bit of modeling, which didn't satisfy the itch. And I went to school. And when I got to high school, I was beaten up all the time. I was thrown in lockers. I was thrown in garbage cans, on and on and on. When I graduated, I went to college and I started taking an interest in boxing. And I really liked it. Putting on the gloves, hitting the bag, the whole Rocky moments. It was a lot of fun. I seriously enjoyed it. I wish I could still do it now. But I got in the ring and I got my ass kicked my first match. I think I kissed the mat more than I kissed my girlfriend that day. So this giant, heavy-set guy comes up to me and he goes, "You must like that mat a lot." And I'm like, "Yeah, good line. Thanks a lot, buddy." And he says, "Do you know who I am?" And I said, "Well, you look familiar." As a joke, I was like, "You look familiar from down here," that kind of thing. And he's like, "My name is Dr. Jerry Graham, and I'm a professional wrestler." Now, Jerry Graham was one of the fighting Grahams. No matter who you see today, Demolition or the Road Warriors or any of the newer breed of wrestlers, the Graham brothers were the most winningest tag team in wrestling history. They won over 200 belts in their career worldwide, everywhere from the United States to Africa to the United Kingdom. And they were uncle to superstar Billy Graham, who was the world champion in WWF at the time. And Crazy Steel Graham and Mike Graham and on and on and on. It was a dynasty, just like the Harts and the rest. So he took me under his wing, and I trained with him, and I trained with the Grahams. Superstar Billy Graham was amazing. As a matter of fact, that wasn't his real name, and I won't give it away because I know some of them still protect it, even though you can Wikipedia everything now. But I even named one of my sons after him. And he said, "Would you like to try wrestling? Because it looked like you wanted to kick that guy or throw an elbow at him, but you were not protecting your face." And he was like very complimentary. He was so nice to the point where, he said, "And you have a face that's so worth protecting." So I'm like, "All right, I'll try it." So I got in the ring and I really had a good time. Never really did anything athletic other than the track team before. And it was just, I like what Sean said there. That's funny. You must like that mat a lot. But he was fantastic. He was great. I got into wrestling. I kept going from there. I wrestled with the CWL in California, the AWA up Minnesota way. I wrestled the circuit from San Diego through Texas. I wrestled with the Von Erichs at the Sportatorium. My biggest win, that was when I was in Ogden, Utah at the D Auditorium. I won the heavyweight championship belt for the USWA, and I kept it for about a year and a month. And I was in a steel cage. It lasted 56 minutes. There are a couple of different ways you can do a steel cage. You could either have the referee in the cage, you fight, you can use the cage. There's no throwing you out of the ring. You're allowed to jump off the top rope, which a lot of people don't know that used to be illegal. Wrestlers were only allowed to jump off the middle rope at the time. It was always illegal. It just opened up. And then the second way is there's no referee in the ring. You have to climb over the top or make your way out the door by hook or by crook. And then the absolute third way is it's just timed. You're on your own with nobody in there with you. You beat the crap out of each other. When the bell rings, whoever's standing in the best shape is it, which they don't do anymore. That was a Mid-South thing. So our version was the referee was outside. I went up against Patrick Nealon, who was known as the Snake Charmer. He was from Boston. We went after each other literally 56 minutes. I had my eye cut. I had blood all down the side of my face. My head was cut. I still have the scar. I had a cut on my arm. It literally went down my arm into my leather gloves, and they had to soak my hand in water for like a half a minute to a minute and then cut it off because the leather was stuck to my skin. And this was an outdoor match. It was on the football field. So 56 minutes with blood on me. I had a tan on the outside of where the blood was all over me. But here was the funny thing. I hit him one time towards the end. I barely could stand. I clawed my way through the ropes to the door. I took one step on the stairs. I went like this. The stairs went like this because they were just wooden stairs. Landed on the ground. The referee grabs my arm while I'm still face down, grabs my arm and lifts it up to show that I was the winner. And after all of that, he was the one that tore the rotator cuff in my left shoulder.
Oh,
No. Holy crap.
That was the one that put me out.
Now, when you were a wrestler, Rusty, did you wrestle under the name Rusty Gilligan?
When I first started, I was the Brooklyn Warrior because I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Hey, so there were so many warriors. Dingo Warrior, there was a Latin something warrior, and on and on and on. So when I wrestled, I gave up the name, the Brooklyn Warrior, and I went as Wild Card. And that was great because nobody had it at the time. Wild Card was kind of a pet name for me anyway, because when I was wrestling the lower circuit from, like I said, San Diego through Texas, my base of operations, even though I lived in California, was Las Vegas, which I eventually moved to years later and lived. And I did a lot of gambling when I was in Vegas, roulette and poker and on and on and on. It's a beast. Probably when I'm at the dinner table, I think I'm more of a beast now. But everything that I did, it was like, a big deal. So it was, Wild Card kind of stuck. And I stayed with that name for a long time until I dropped out. Wild Card was kind of a personal name for me anyway, because aside from the gambling thing, in wrestling at the time, a wild card match was basically something that was thrown together in the locker room with no scripting, and they just throw you out in the middle of the arena, and it's like, it's you versus the wild Mexican ambulance driver or whatever, or it's you and the Viking. Or one time I was wrestling and one of the guys had a mask on and he was wrestling, like a luchador. And he turned his mask inside out to air out and dry. And his mask, on the inside, it's all stitching and it's all spots and dirty. So I wore his mask inside out for one match. They didn't know it was me, and it was against someone else in a wild card match. And I let him kick the crap out of me and throw me over the ropes and hit me with a chair. And they carried me out on a stretcher. And I was lucky to get a chicken and mac and cheese dinner at the end of the night.
So wait a minute, Rusty, you're saying that in the locker room, they determine these wild card matches. So there's no rehearsal. There's what everybody thinks is pre-rehearsed all to hell.
The wild card matches are just like living Dungeons and Dragons. My mage goes up against your level 4 cleric. Let me roll a dice and show you who wins. And you're out there. Sometimes the referee would say, he'd look at the timekeeper, and the timekeeper would be like, And he'd be like, okay, there's another minute left in the match. And he'd be like, come on, you guys, break it up, slap you on the shoulder. That's the cue for one of you gets hit. Whoever hit on the shoulder, you go down. So you go down in about a minute, and he puts his hand under your shoulder to check to see that your shoulders are down. Nothing that they do today. And he'd be like, okay, 1, 2, and you'd spring up. And there would be, that cliffhanger. Oh my God, he woke up again at the 2 count. It's so amazing. He got up at the 2 count with such amazing energy. How can he live through this bad injury? And then it'd be like 1, 2, no, 3. That's it. I had so much fun. Wrestling was like one of the high points of my life. You could turn around and say just about anything was the high point of your life. Oh, I got married, or I had kids, blah, 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 blah. Wrestling was like one of the most amazing things. It was second to pretty much all the comic work I've done because I love doing art, but wrestling was amazing.
Well, Rusty, I'm looking at a question right now from Brandon. You were affiliated were you affiliated with the animated film Heavy Metal?
Yeah, I worked on the original.
Wow.
Okay. Hey, Brandon.
Actually, yeah, can you read that for us, Rusty?
It says, Rusty, how did you get your first job as a storyboard artist on the awesome animated film Heavy Metal? Thank you for the question, Brandon. That's really cool. I loved, first of all, I just love animation. Hey, Ed. Ed, what is it? Armageddon Ed. I loved animation ever since I was a kid. Went further than just being a kid liking cartoons. So I was acting, and my agent at the time, her name was Mitzi McGregor, God rest her soul. She was a fantastic agent / manager. You could do both at the same time years ago. Today, you're lucky to find one that does even half a good job. As a matter of fact, I just let mine go 2 years ago because she did. So I had done tons of comic artwork, nothing terribly professional. And every time we went and had our bi-monthly meeting with Mitzi, she would ask me, what's your art look like? Let's see your art, pander to the kid. So I went ahead and I would open up my album, and here's Captain America, and here's Spider-Man, and here's some pretty girl, and my mother would frown. And she, I had to sneak those in, under the mattress just didn't count after a while. And she said, I want to show this one picture. It was a werewolf to somebody. And I thought, okay, cool. That's really cool. Rip it out of the book, hand it to her. And I got a call like a month later, and she's like, do you know what Heavy Metal magazine is? And I'm, as a kid, teenager, you're like the great authority on everything. Oh my God, Heavy Metal. It's not a comic book, but it's a magazine. It's based on, and I would just go off, and I could imagine on the other end, she was chewing nails to get me off the phone. And I had been a big comic book collector. So Heavy Metal magazine actually came from Metal Hurlant, was a French magazine.
Yes.
And it was gorgeous artwork, like Corbin on Den and the Captain Stern stuff. And oh my God, and Spanish illustrators, which you never saw at the time. Even with like Marvel or Charlton, because DC was kind of in-house, but Marvel or Charlton, which would bring in a lot of international people.
Oh, and the beautiful artwork.
Oh, it was amazing. Mobius, Chris Achilleos, it was gorgeous stuff. So anyway, long story, even longer. They go ahead and they say, would you be interested in working on this movie? And I'm like, oh my God, I get to play a character. I'm so excited. Give me anything you got. And I had a little squeaky voice. I was like, I am so excited. I can't wait to be on it. Give me what you got. And she said, well, actually, they like the way you drew that monster. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I never thought, That's like there's one thing about going to church, and there's another thing with being getting an audience with the Pope. And I'm sitting there going, okay, that's pretty cool. So
Rusty, give us an idea how old you were then.
Well, let me see. I was born 65, so it was 1979. So I was about 14, 15.
You were a teenager when this happened.
I wasn't even old enough to see it when the movie came out. The first time I saw it on TV when that was a thing. There
like
used
HBO
to be,
or something,
right?
Late
But
at night?
pre all of that. It was like on TV, Select TV. You probably remember that, Dave, right?
WPIX Channel 11 used to show heavy metal
Really?
back in the early 80s.
Yep.
And
it was like the Rocky Horror of its day.
Yep.
People used to go to the theaters. They would do the costumes and they would do the lines. And I remember one time this guy painted his face green and was pretending to be the Loch Ness, which was the big ball and everything.
The orb, yes.
It was, and the funny thing was that was created for a short that didn't make it into heavy metal, but was actually used for the movie. So I always tell people, don't toss away your good ideas. Don't ever give up on one thing, because I don't remember who came up with the Loch Ness, but whoever came up with the Loch Ness, that made that whole anthology movie tie together.
We got off topic, though. You were part of this movie. We forgot to say, what did you do with the movie? What part?
I worked for a Canadian firm, and I did a little bit of the animation and still work and production work that went behind the B-17 sequence, where the zombies were on the B-17 airplane during World War II.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
And he landed in the zombie graveyard, the airplane graveyard, and then there were zombies, I should say.
Do you remember the zombie's name?
No. I can't even remember the people I worked with.
Audience members, tell them who the zombie's name is. Anyone.
The firm that I worked with in Canada, they everything at the time, no cell phone, no FedEx, no airborne, no Xerox machines, no scanning, no computers, no overnight, no nothing. So they would call, and calls back then were like, oh, it's $2.99 for the first minute and 25 cents each additional, on and on and on, plus tax. And they called me and they're like, at first, all French, is this Rusty? And I said, I don't speak French. And they would hang up. Okay, well, I guess I blew their $3 for that minute. Call me back, heavy French accent, speaking English. Is this Rusty? Yes. Okay, well, we're trying to keep the phone calls down, blah, blah, blah. Write this down really quick. Next time I have a tape recorder ready for when we call. Shoot me a ton of stuff. Hang up. So the first 50 drawings I did, they rejected. And I was like, crestfallen. I thought to myself, oh, my God, here's my chance at, whatever. And I blew it. What a jerk I am. Then I get a thing in the mail telling me they want me to go in this direction. And I did. A lot of skulls, a lot of plant leaves covering stuff, a lot of bugs on the ground and blah, blah, blah. And I was lucky. I was super lucky. The funny thing is that when it came time for like premieres and stuff like that, and I was invited, and they would be like, we got to have a picture of you because we like to put it in one of the books for the animation, and on and on and on. I sent them my school picture because that was the most recent picture. And they're like, wait a minute, when was this from? You sent a picture of yourself when you were a kid. And I'm like, well, I'm 15. No, you're not 15. No, I'm 15. All right, we'll figure something out. Hang up. Find out later on they took a picture of some guy that was in the office and used his picture because he was an adult. Because who'd want to admit that you're working with some punk at the time, Today, it might be great for kids on YouTube, but back then it was like, so especially since there was nudity and cursing in the movie and everything. And here I am walking around with lollipop and diapers type. They didn't want that.
Rusty, what if I told you that George C. Romero, the network that we're on right now, he is actually affiliated with Heavy Metal Magazine.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't know that he was affiliated.
Oh, yes. And he is also redoing, or I'm sorry, he's new book out in Heavy Metal Magazine, the Nelson story for the bomber.
Wow, I would love to be a part of that. God, that was I gotta say, that was the best thing I ever did. I had so much fun with that.
So
After that, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's actually writing for Heavy Metal now.
Wow.
And so, yes, Nelson, he's doing the story
awesome.
for the Cold Dead War is what it's referred to now.
Wow.
Joe, you need to use your pull with Heavy Metal and get them back in touch with Rusty. And that would be great synergy.
Just make sure that they spell my name right on here.
Gallgan.
G-I.
I'm busting chops. I actually made a mistake with Rusty's name earlier. I do apologize.
That's the reason why I don't use my last name. I went through so many Gilligan's Island and Skipper jokes when I was in school. It's actually not even my real name, but I use my first name and an exclamation point. That's how I use it.
Exclamation point.
Thank you, Brandon. That's really nice of you. I appreciate it.
So I'm sorry. Before, I'm just afraid we're running out of time.
I just noticed in your background, Corona Street. Ugh, I feel so bad for you.
Oh, actually, I was a beer rep, and that was an actual Corona beer sign before this all happened. So.
That's hysterical. You should replace one of the O's with one of the virus stickers.
So I want to know about Mac and Trouble.
It's a dream project of love for me, just as Mr. Hush was for David. Just as Mr. Hush was for David, this is like a dream project for me. I basically got. I was having a bad problem where I was in bed for almost 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. And all I did was just play games, watch television. My back was terrible bad, like I mentioned before. My wife brought home these 2 kittens that we were supposed to watch. The one cat didn't walk very well, and I literally took heart to it. I got out of bed and I started helping this cat learn how to walk, and I nursed this cat. The other one passed away, which I felt bad about too. And this cat was Mac. And a little bit later, he wound up being my best friend. And a little bit later, we got another cat named Trouble. And I thought they were going to fight. And because we had a whole house full of cats, they got nose to nose like this the first time they met each other, turned and walked towards the food bowl, and have been friends ever since. And that's inspired me to write and get back in. My office was basically turned into like a warehouse full of boxes, and there was mail all over and clothes. I dug my way back to the desk and I started doing work again because I felt it was literally like someone flicked a light switch. The day before, pain, in bed, covered with blankets, fooling around with some stupid game, talking to people online, being a whole, closet nerd, being, sleepy and a whole bit. Everything happens. I dug myself out. I got to the desk. It was like my whole life changed. I literally turned off everything. Never played the game again. Never did it again. Didn't sit in bed all day long. And it's worse now than it was at that period, my health, but I still haven't given up. So I created this cartoon strip that was in the papers, Mac and Trouble. And I got a lot of response because just by accident, it wasn't done on purpose. Mac is a tuxedo cat, black and white, and Trouble is a striped cat, tabby. So people primarily, if you look online, they either own a tuxedo cat or a tabby. So everybody was like, we love this. My cat does that too. And blah, 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 blah. And the mail came in and the stuff came in. And I thought, oh, wow, this is very interesting. You know, I really got to push this. So we made the first comic. It went over huge. I was doing convention appearances again because I've done probably about 500 convention and store appearances since the 70s. And when I got back into it heavy, my whole table was Mac in Trouble. And since then, there's been the newspaper strips, the comics. We have the person in the 7-foot-tall costume, photo sets, prints, toys, masks, stickers, card sets. And right now we're working on the movie, the animated film.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm working with a channel in the UK called, it has a very funny name. It's called Boombitos. They're on Roku, and they're also affiliated channel with Amazon Prime. And we're putting this together right now. I actually got some stills today from the animator. Amazing stuff. Like, they're really translating what we've done on paper into action. And I'm really excited. Like, I know people can always talk about their projects for hours and hours, and I won't bore you with it, but I got to tell you, very exciting to me. It brings, like, the whole heavy metal story back around, because now I'm into something that I'm a part of rather than being a bit in the beginning. So, and I'm excited that I'm actually doing film work again. In the past 3 or 4 years, I probably worked on about 20 or 25 films, and doing artwork mostly. And this one is going to be obviously my favorite because it's mine. So I was very excited to see the stuff they gave us today. But hi, Libby.
That's awesome. You know, before we wrap up tonight, I want to tell everybody a very, very specific story about Mr. Gilligan here. About 8 to 10 years ago, I was doing a show out by Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Brian O'Halloran was with us, and Scott Schiaffo was also.
I love those guys.
Yeah, they were doing. I think some of the comic book men were there, and Rusty did the cover art for the flyer for the show, and it was actually one of the very first times I seen myself, drawn by an artist on the cover of the flyer for the booklet for the convention. But what I remember most about Rusty is I was over there talking with him at his table, and he was extremely kind and generous to his fans. But what was really awesome about Rusty is that everything he was collecting that weekend from his fans at the show, he was putting to a dog or cat shelter that is important to him. And that's really just the kind of guy he is. He's a wonderful, wonderful human being. Rusty, before we say goodnight to everybody, is there anything that you have coming up that you want everybody to know about? And where can our fans find you virally?
Well, I don't have any viruses, so I appreciate the question. I don't really have a site. Oh, wow. Now you did a blow up. You can see the background of my crappy looking office here. I don't really have a website. I usually tell people look for me on Facebook, because I'm always on Facebook and I always answer messages. My page is open to the public, and you don't have to become friends. And I talk and I say hi to everybody. I enjoy talking to, casual collectors, fans, people who want to get started. So I enjoy that stuff coming out. With my studio, it's called Rusty Ink, INK. How creative was that? I put together a trading card set based on the Wizard of Oz that we released a couple of months ago. We're just now releasing a trading card set based on pulp magazines from the early 20th century. That should be coming out very soon. It was late because of the virus. Printers were closed, and on and on and on. I've been doing voice work. I did for a video game called Eternal Wars, which should be out next year. I did early voices for the Mac in Trouble teaser. You guys can look that up on IMDb. And I did voices for a couple of the cartoons that are on the Bombitos channel, the one that's behind the Mac in Trouble film. And I've been doing a lot of comic work, and I have another Mac in Trouble comic as well as another Symbol comic, which is based on my patriotic hero. And so many little things that sometimes I can't even mention it, doing trading card work for Dynamite Comics and doing baseball cards for Topps, etc. So, but I appreciate talking to everybody. Anytime anybody wants to come on Facebook and say hi, I'm always there to welcome them. I give away free trading cards to people. All they have to do is just ask, and they can have as many as they want. And I'm always taking donations for animal shelters. Like you were saying before, people would always give me cans of cat food or dog food. I've gotten cat treats and dog toys and things like that. And at shows, people still send me stuff to sign. The other day I signed a Pete's Dragon, the original Pete's Dragon VHS sleeve. And I put a little note in there, and I told the woman, I said, this must be the biggest doorstop you've got in your house, because, who has a VHS? And it was beaten to hell, but I signed it for her, and I thought that was very cool. Best thing ever at a convention. This guy walked up to me, and he had the original Heavy Metal, and it opened up. It was a Butterfly 2-record set from the soundtrack. And when you pulled the record out, if you held it like up into the light, you saw the oil pattern of the logo. It's got to be worth at least $1,200 to $1,500 in any condition, and obviously and up. And he brought it to me and had me sign it in gold pen, and I did a little sketch on the jacket for him, and I thought that was amazing. And he comes up and goes, "How much do you want me? Do you want for me to, for you to sign?" And I says, "Well, you bought the item. You didn't buy it from me." I said, "I don't charge to sign. I know others do. I don't." And I just thought that was amazing. And then the other thing that was so cool, this guy had this 10-foot tall Walking Dead bus bench poster, one of those ones that you used to see in the glass or the plastic behind the bus benches. And I signed that and did a skull on that, because I worked on that as well as the card set a couple of times. I thought that was awesome. I just love people. I really do. This is such a great industry. I just enjoy all the people and their stories and whatever. So it's why I don't sign for money or take pictures for money. I've always just enjoyed the people. That's the best gift you can get, man.
Well,
it
Rusty,
really is.
Just so you know, this is actually George C. Romero, because he can't get online right now. But amazing getting to know you tonight. Thank you for coming on the network.
Well, George, I love your work. I would love to get to know you more and talk to you more. Just look for me anytime. I'm one of those people that don't like to badger anybody, except David. I go after David and I say, "David, when the hell are you going to let me work on something that you're doing?" And he's like, "Oh, Rusty, you're too fat. I can't have you. You're so fat."
Rusty, the fans are here, man. Rusty, thank you, brother. And Rusty, continued success.
You guys are great. You guys are great.
If I ever called you fat, it would be with a PH, my friend. Because that's the only fat you are to me.
I wouldn't understand the reference behind. No, I'm kidding.
Rusty, as always, as you know, from my heart, I consider you one of my closest friends, a dear friend. Thank you.
That.
Thank you so much for being on my show tonight.
It was my pleasure to be here. This was a complete honor. It really was. I love you guys. I hope that sometime in the future you can have me back, or if you need anything from me, you can always get me. And I hope whoever's watching and see this, come talk to me sometime. I'm always around.
Well, you brought up a werewolf earlier, and sometime in the next 6 weeks, we will be talking werewolf stuff together. My friend, I will be talking to you soon.
And awesome. Guys, I just got to let you know, I approached Rusty a few years ago when I just first started out doing a show. And he was the most polite and just, Rusty, I appreciate you, brother. I really do.
Well, drugs do a lot of things to a person. And oh, I'm sorry. Was I saying that out loud or thinking it? No, I'm nice to everybody, and
well, I don't feel special anymore. Thank you, Rusty.
No, I'm nice to everybody. This industry used to be made up of people that would help each other. If you go back and you listen to some of the original, like Tonight shows, and some of the original talk shows, you'll hear some great stories of stars interacting with stars. All the times in the comic industry, someone would get up and go to the bathroom in the studio, and another artist would come in and continue to work on their page while they were gone, so they can keep up their deadlines. People would give each other jobs, and they would help each other at shows. Those are the people that I was taught by. And I that's what I do. So to me, if I was nice to you, I wasn't nice enough.
You know what's funny, Rusty? Because I feel the exact same way, and I even do it on this particular show. Back in the day, Roddy McDowell was friends with everybody in Hollywood, and they would throw these elaborate parties. And if he was offered a role that he didn't want, he would suggest other actors who were his friends.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and when I do this show, sometimes I have all the actors on together. I like that communal feeling. I think we should all be kind and wonderful to each other. And I might do something kind for you tonight, and next week you might do something kind for me. That's wonderful, and that's the way we should all be to each other. Again, Rusty, thank you so much for being on the show. You're an awesome guy.
Super pleasure. I hope I didn't talk too much.
Never. And we will most certainly have you back on.
Sure. I would enjoy it. Thank you very much. God bless everybody.
Be well, Rusty, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Rusty. Bye. What a great guy.
You know, both guys,
absolutely.
Both Kelly and Rusty are just incredibly wonderful guys, and I want to thank Kelly AuCoin, who, he's a major star in a major show. Joe, he come talk to two schmucks like you and I. He doesn't need to do that.
Whoa!
Okay, one schmuck, you.
That's better.
Two schmucks like you and I, and as I said while he was on, he showed my Libby. Seeing your beautiful face always makes me smile. Seeing him, having him on, and seeing his passion for being an actor and for his work really, really shows in what kind of personality he is. And Rusty is just an overwhelmingly great guy. No exaggeration. I've had 150 interactions with Rusty and 150 wonderful interactions. He's
been through it.
Yeah. And he's had an amazing career. I thought I've done some crazy shit in my life. That dude is amazing. Again, I want to say to everybody, George will return next Friday night. It was an amazing evening.
No, wait a minute. Time out. I want to say, everybody, it's been an amazing evening, and George will be back next week. I was busting your chops.
Isn't that what I just said?
Yeah, I know. But that's the other show.
Yeah, I know. But this kind of is one show that goes on into each other, no?
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought we were family. Maybe I'm mistaken.
We are family.
No, there you go.
You want a hug?
Wrong way.
Oh, you're...
Can we? You think we know how to do this by now? This pimple is really starting to annoy me. I'm starting to look like a teenager.
It's a stress pimple.
It's a stress pimple. Yes, I was so upset about what was happening today. With that being said, George will be back next week. Thank you for letting me jump in George's shoes, because it was to even host that show for 5 minutes is a complete honor. It was wonderful. And again, I want to thank Kelly AuCoin for being on tonight. I want to thank Rusty Gilligan for being on. Two amazingly talented people. And of course, Joe, nothing happens without you. I want to thank you, Joe, for being my trusty friend and sidekick. And on that note, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Be well, everybody, and we'll see you next week.